You don't exist. Take a perk and a talk of that shit. Money swallowed like sis. Dead up perfect in the kid. Got a billion who sang on my head. Look up better put on the road I just spent. I know we got $1 million. The devil that shit ain't not cheaper again.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to MangaMuse. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the 5th part of What If Deku Enters Welcome to Demon School. Special note, this fanfic is written in a masterpiece of 616 MCU and Hazzard Overflow on FANFICTIONnet and AO3. Do check and support the authors too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. Henry watched as Sullivan just sat there and played chess, as if nothing was wrong. It was a serious crime to be accused of, a crime that not even one of the 3 heroes of the Netherworld was immune to. Stealing humans from Earth and dumping them here. He could only imagine how freaked out the 2 humans in question must be. Honestly, the whole thing had no evidence, so Sullivan shouldn't have been in here as long as he did. However, this came from the word of one of the 13 crows. As such, he had a responsibility to look at all angels, see who he could find evidence of bodies, things like that. His current path led him to investigate this izukumidoriya. He's heard vague rumors surrounding the boy, mostly little detail his princess related to him on occasion, but nothing he thought had conjecture. The Danger Junkie title was a bit concerning, but he didn't sound like an abnormal demon child. If he did end up being a human child, then he needed to take quick action. All the fear going through the boy's head if that was the case. Any chaos the boy caused was most likely just him defending his right to live, but it was chaos the Netherworld could do without. However, he himself couldn't take an active role in investigations as he had to keep this man in check. Thus he left it to his 2 guards, who relayed information at all times. Even if they were incompetent newbies who probably got lost on day 1, that would be fun. He watched as Sullivan suddenly looked intrigued by something, looking at his opponent. "Could you move your head a little to the left?" he asked, getting a confused nod in return. A few seconds later, a light shot out of nowhere and caused a massive dust cloud. When the dust settled, it revealed the old demon caught an arrow within his hands. Oh yes, the new teacher with the bullseye bloodline. The chair demon read over the note with curiosity before giving a small hum. "Well, I'll be. All right, I'm leaving. SHT. Sullivan, I don't think you fully grasp the seriousness of these allegations. If you wish to be clear of any suspicion, it would be wise to." "I don't think you heard me, Sir Azazel. I'm leaving." Sullivan spoke with a pressure that filled up death and destruction of 1,000 souls and lives. Eons of darkness filled the heads of all living beings near them. The mere thought of trying to approach filled their instincts with terror at the thought of approaching. "Now then, to see my cute little grandson. I made a promise after all. Later, y'all." He waved, ripping a hole through space and time with nothing but the wave of his hand as the Lord walked into it. A few seconds of silence came a whistle, ball approaching from behind the wall. You sometimes forget the old coot only listens because he likes being fair with the way he acts. If this was Sullivan's idea of fairness, he'd hate to know what his idea of having the advantage was. Izuku Kins started falling faster and faster. He was going to get hurt, even more than he usually does. "Izuku Kins, wake up." She still had the rope in her hands, so if she missed, then Izuku Kins would become a permanent pancake all across the courtyard. And that wasn't fun in any sense. It was scary. Izuku Kins finally stopped, falling onto one of those invisible barrier thingies. "I really hate this," she heard Amy mutter. "The one guy that understands everything is the antithesis of everything I despise." Clara growled at him, now aiming her rope at her ex-friend. "Relax, you annoying imp. He's not going to fall. As much as I'd love watching your face in agony, his life is more important to me." "You want Izuku Kins to cry," she growled. She could feel her magic back, maybe make a bomb or some. No, that would be poor taste. A gun, she could use that. "Why should I trust you? I could honestly care less about what you think. I don't care what any of you think. Just know that I believe he's better off alive than dead. Do what you want with that. If you really didn't care about what everyone thought, you wouldn't have tried to make people cry." Izuku Kins never cared about what anyone thought of him. It's why he was able to become my friend, as his friend, Sabro Mountain, Icestring, maybe even Lady Red Hair and that dragon lady. Even you. Yes, that's just it. He doesn't care what others think of him. I don't care what everyone thinks of me. I want to be his friend. I wanted to show him my despair like I've seen in others. But he beat me. He beat me so utterly and thoroughly he was willing to throw his own life away, just to spite me. Amy gave a small smile. Clara stayed silent, even as he went to a chair and sat down. I'll wait for the border patrol to take me in. You don't need to worry about me attacking anymore. But you need to be aware of two things, Clara-chan. The way he said it still made her feel sick. Return to origin means, in your books, to be a bad guy. Multiple demons like the old ways better, where people laughed at tears and killed for fun. Tell Deku-kun this as a warning. She could feel her BLD boil at Amy. His name is Izuku. She spoke, ready to reduce him to dust. And the second thing you need to be aware of. He spoke, not missing a beat. Is that I've barely got enough magic, meaning I can't protect us from that. He pointed at some massive flaming rocks. Ah, is that supposed to happen? The normal playful girl asked out loud. Normally, she would have pointed out how pretty the sight was, but right now, she didn't believe anything about the situation was fun. Was this what Izuku meant about it being dangerous? Well, la-da-da, the child is capable of learning. The jerk sneered at her, and she had to rein in the idea of smacking him across the head if he was the only one keeping Izuku from falling. Guess your hero didn't count on the amount of debris. It's not enough to kill everyone, but it's still not going to be a pleasant morning for most. He sighed, covering his face with his hands. Not like it matters anymore. If everything is falling apart at this point, then he should show up right about. A dark, foreboding figure flew across the sky, standing at the front of the flaming rocks hurtling towards everyone. She would have shouted to tell him to get out of the way, but there was no need for that, because with a simple wave of a hand, all the rocks stopped in their place, and with a simple spinning motion, all the rocks became a massive fire tornado that devastated most of the area, causing it to crumble around the school with big pillars of light. Is that chair stash? Clara looked at the old man, resolving the situation with the flick of a hand. She in all honesty never cared about other people's magic. She's always had her own way to handle things in a pinch, mostly boredom, and as long as others used it for fun, she never minded when others used it either. This was the first time she felt someone's power actually had a presence. Someone who made her feel just a bit smaller than she usually was. And that someone was Izuku-kin's grandpapa. Incredible, isn't he? Supposed to be guarded by some of the most violently justice-based demons around. And yet he strolls over here and saves the day without a care in the world. Amy spoke, looking at the man. Was he the hero you saw? The one who smiled and ruined your point of view? He asked no one in particular. She heard Izuku's body eminem as Amy floated him over, and she immediately held him in her arms. I don't ask about what his past was like, because it doesn't matter. I see him try to smile every day. Sometimes he looks scared, like he doesn't know how to, but he's trying. She answered as she looked at her friend's freckled face. He tries harder than anybody I know. Nobody is going to take that away. She swore on her life. Yes, he is trying, isn't he? Amy looked like he wanted to say more, but then the door burst open as a bunch of people showed up. Silence. Aggie Teach was the first to say anything. Before they knew it, he surrounded the jerk with those light-up doggies he sometimes brings out as everyone else got ready to attack him. Kiriwo Amy, I suggest you don't move. I surrender. I've got a lot of thinking to do after all. He smiled, his warmness now corrupted with knowledge of what he's like. It made her sick. For the first time since Yachai, she didn't like someone's smile. There are three parts to what one considers life: the mind, the body, and the soul. Each controlled a major aspect of one's self, and when in harmony, led to a truly perfect livelihood. When Izuku came to, all three screamed at him that he was a moron who should have gotten out easy and died much earlier in life. So, basically, it was how he woke up almost every day back on Earth. His body was the first to scream in agony, like every atom was split and trying to repair itself, and his stomach wanted to throw up something that wasn't there. He was sure he wouldn't be moving for at least an hour, maybe a day. His mind was next, screaming with a headache that had too many thoughts and mental mindsets to sort through, finding it best to just delete them all together. After he cast the spell, he blacked out, his body running on autopilot or his soul. And that led to probably the worst part, the one that screamed at him for being a bleeding heart and trusting someone like that. Someone worse than any sociopath on earth, because he wanted to feel bad and make everyone feel the same. The worst part was he didn't just hate the guy, he just pitied him. Such petty reasoning, it was like he met a demon for the first time since coming to the netherworld. And the even worse part of it all, he could completely understand everything Kurowo went through. All the time the others drew comparisons between them, they didn't know just how right on the mark they really were. Given the circumstances, Kurowo was essentially everything he would have become had Sullivan never taken him in. It made him wonder. There was about a single villain for every hero back on Earth. Every day, people back on Earth made the choice to do something wrong, and the hero was always there to stop them. One thing that was almost never asked about the bad guy was the why. If his mom wasn't in his life, could he have done something like Kurowo tried to do? Could I have been a villain? Izuku felt the need to ask out loud, still having his thoughts hurt his head. I certainly hope not, but I would have supported your goal of world domination regardless. A familiar voice made him want to open his eyes, regardless of how much the light burned his retinas. You would have been a benevolent overlord. Grandpa, Kurowo, Izuku couldn't put his words in order. The ring, I used it, and everyone would have. Now, settle down. I can't heal you if you make it worse. The man chided, as Izuku could see a soft green glow that felt oddly warm against his burning flesh. Everyone is safe, so you don't need to worry. Kurowo actually went willingly. Grandpa explained. He did? That confused him. With how he was, he didn't take him as the type to surrender easily. I don't feel comfortable about that. Neither do we. The man spoke solemnly. Your friend Clara kept glaring at him the whole time, worried he may do something despite him saving your life. Kurowo saved his life. When we talked to him, he said you made him need to rethink his approach and wanted to pay you back for. His grandpa paused, trying to word something awkward. Giving him an appealing face to look at in a mirror, or something like that. Ugh, please, I didn't need to know that last part. He shuddered. And people were weirded out by his supposed thrill-seeking. This world could truly be messed up at times, which was often. Clara wanted to stay by your side, but I knew you needed to recover. She also had another message from him. There are demons like him that want to return to their origin, which is his philosophy, to go back to how things were before the Demon King. So he's just an anarchist then. How does that make everyone equal? All that would accomplish is having more people like me, like him getting squashed on all the time. That doesn't make any sense. Izuku, I know that doesn't make any sense. What you met today was a demon, inspired by bad thoughts of those that seek even worse around them. But you should take a look at something you did. He lifted the boy, much to his body's agony. What did I do? All I did was clean up the mess I made. Grandpa didn't listen, as he opened the window and revealed a crowd of students, chanting, probably something bad about him. Listen to what they're yelling. He spoke clearly. Izuku did and was met with. That was amazing. I loved the show. The magical apparatus battler rules. Let's go you guys, cheer after cheer for him. You saved the happiness of this mess, bringing something nobody has ever seen before. Grandpa spoke, flying out with Izuku in tow, as people shouted his name. Amy would have tried to destroy the school regardless. You stopped him and made it into a show that brought smiles to multiple demons. Saving everyone, with a smile. Izuku cried, and he didn't have the strength to stop himself from doing so. It's everything I've always wanted to do. To just make people happy. He blew his nose on his grandpa's suit. Sorry, I can't help it. I just can't. Never mind that, I've got plenty of suits, feel free to let it out. Can't go celebrate with your friends if you're busy crying after all. He said, pointing to Az and the others, who were lighting off small flares from a booth in the courtyard. Aiko, even Gakko, they're all safe, he cried out. Wait, but what about Izuku-kins? A familiar cry of joy announced from behind them, rolling itself towards them until knocking them over like a bowling pin. Oh sweet mercy, Clara, I'm happier than anything you're okay, but right now everything is in agony. Izuku spoke from the floor, feeling like he was hit by a truck, which would be half right in the case of Clara. Izuku-kins, I was so worried. Everyone kept asking me these boring questions about the terrible stuff that happened, and they wouldn't let me at least watch you get better, and Amy was just this big butthead that tried to make you cry, and I couldn't stand the thought of you being sad or hurt by another bakugou, and... She was stopped by a hug that took all of Izuku's strength to muster. Her voice was like music to his ears. I'm so glad you're all right, Clara. I'm not sure what I would do if I didn't see your smile again. Her body was telling him to stop, but his heart told him to clear her worries above anything else. I'm so glad you're my friend. I'm sorry for making you worry. Dummy, don't scare me like that ever again. She gripped him tighter. You really did it. You put the sky on fire and made everyone smile, just like you said you would. We did it, Clara. I could have never done it without you or the others. They continued their hug, until his body couldn't keep up anymore, pushing back. All right then, I'm going to rest up. You mind telling Az and the others the situation, Clara? You can count on me. Clara's on the case, she shouted, running off and leaving the two alone. She never loses that lovely charm of hers, does she? Grandpa held him by the shoulders, supporting him as he stood. No, she doesn't. It's what I love most about her. He admitted out loud. Clara, Az, Inko, Amory, Sabro, all the misfits. I love all of my friends so much. He let out more tears. He didn't mind it for once. They helped remind him of how truly happy he was now. Amory couldn't quite believe what she just witnessed. Not could she fully understand exactly what led up to such chaotic events, but the one thing she could be fully sure of was that Izuku was involved, and he made a huge spectacle out of everything, and she couldn't have been more proud and excited for him. It was one thing to read through the forbidden texts with her, but to go out of his way to recreate the Fire Flower Festival, her favorite scene in First Love Memories, and keep it a surprise for her. He certainly knew how to be a charmer, regardless of his claims of not having love charms. Did he do it all for me? Did he want me to watch it with him like in the forbidden texts? Was he planning on embrace? The thought made her shiver in excited glee. He truly is exceptional, going through all that trouble just for me. Plus ultra indeed. Though she would have preferred if they were able to watch the show together. But then again, it wasn't like they could have predicted a deranged upperclassman planning to blow up most of the student body. She learned most of the details after the Fire Flower show once the staff gathered the council to discuss what exactly happened. She had to admit, she was a bit irked that Izuku didn't think to come to her to explain everything. She gave him her number for a reason. That didn't go into how exhausted and hurt Izuku ended up becoming from what she heard Kaligo-sensei explain. If she was there with him, they could have taken out Kuriwo Amy much more effectively, she was sure of it. Now, if only he was around so she could both congratulate and berate him. Izuku! Izuku! Izuku-kins! Oh, Midoriya! She heard 4 distinct voices cry out, and sure enough, she saw the little blonde demon she helped protect earlier along with the dragon-like student, grouped together with Asmodeus and Valak. She looked towards the direction they were staring at, and, well, what was that old expression about speaking of the devil? Guys, you're all right. I saw what you were doing out there, you really? Izuku, with a bandage wrapped around his forehead and torso, slowly walked towards them. He wasn't given the opportunity to say any more as his inner circle, as well as the blonde, launched themselves at him in a dogpile, while the dragon girl awkwardly walked up to him. Guys, I'm still recovering. Do you know how worried you made all of us, Izuku? When Clara said you passed out from breaking Kiriwo's barrier and practically overloading your own body with magic you can barely use, why didn't you call for help? In fact, why didn't you summon your familiar? I'm starting to worry about you actually being a MSCST instead of just a danger junkie, Asmodeus ranted at the boy. Sorry, maybe if we weren't in a time crunch, I would have considered getting Opera-san, but... Izuku stopped himself, looking at the representative quizzically. Did you actually call Clara by her first name? What, no, I didn't, I was merely... Great, Devi, you did, you totally did, the blonde pointed teasingly. You were so happy when she came back with the good news. You really care about all of us now, don't you? No, don't start getting the wrong idea. There's enough of that going around the school as it is. Face it, as, we're all friends now. Velak poked the taller boy's cheek. Calamity cult forever. That does not mean what you want it to mean, no matter how many times you say it. The dragon rolled her eyes. Still, I'm glad you're all right, Midoriya. Asmodeus here cleared up a few things for me while we were waiting for you, so I know now you're not all that bad. Plus, Inko would have given me a real earful if I didn't at least try to get to know you. Yeah, no way would I have let two of my friends not be friends with each other. The blonde, Inko apparently, replied, before leaning uncomfortably close to the honor student. Guess this is the second time you've saved my life, not to mention everyone else's. You really can't stop being the hero, can you? Inko touched his face, something only she should have the right to do. Do it any more and I'll start assuming you have a thing for saving me, Tilda. Okay, time to intervene. Izuku, I'm happy to see you alive and relatively healthy. She marched up and picked him up by his cheeks, similar to how they first met. Though I wish you would exercise more caution about these situations in the future. The student council exists for a reason, you know. He blinked in confusion for a second before his eyes widened, realizing it was an option to begin with. Oh, sorry Amory-san, like I said earlier, we were on a time crunch, and I didn't have many options if I wanted to hurry. Izuku spoke. This close she could hear the pain and slowness in his voice as she put him down. Izuku and Amory, she turned with Izuku, as the blonde looked starstruck beyond belief. She knew she had a fan club, but she rarely saw people who liked her enough to literally generate stars from their body. The dragon girl looked at the situation before patting Asmodeus on the back. Can I call you a friend for the sole reason of both of us being the only sane people we know? She asked him with an almost pleading tone. Absolutely, it's nice having someone normal to talk to with all the crazy they bring into my life. Asmodeus replied with a simultaneously honest and teasing tone, as Izuku seemed to blush. Regardless, she coughed. Your battler has done something extraordinary to show off to the school. I'm proud of you all. Good job following your ambitions, she praised them sincerely. As the president of the student council, I thank you for stopping the madness. Oh, wait, I'm not actually a part of their battler, I'm... The dragon girl cleared up, though she stopped herself. With everything that's happened, I actually never officially chose a battler. She stared off to the side, hiding a blush. I was so concerned about Inko's chances of ranking up that I actually forgot to join one. No offense. None taken. Inko waved off with a smile, managing to tone down the blush across her face. You know, our little club just lost its president, so we could use all the members we can get now. What do you say, Gakko? We can be in the same battler, just like we always hoped. You did play a vital role in gathering an audience for us at the start, and as I said before, sanity is always welcomed around here. Asmodeus encouraged. Play Paul, we can play lots of fun games, like 4 pointy squares, Velak shouted out loud, pulling out some dangerous-looking equipment she should likely confiscate later. I'm in literally no position to turn down any kind of help, or new friends for that matter. Izuku spoke plainly and honestly. It'd be an honor if you considered us, Gakko. He held out his hand. Wait, since when did he refer to others by their first name? Since when did he refer to girls by their first name? Hell, did she just realize now that Velak was the girl he's associated with the longest? Gakko looked lost in thought for a second, before shaking her head and shrugging. Hey, what the hell, I've come this far with you guys already, might as well go all the way. She shook his hand. We're not actually called the Calamity Cult, right? Sorry, I don't choose the names, that's just something you're going to have to get used to. Izuku admitted with a shaky voice. I'm just glad something good came out of all of this. Speaking of, as punishment for going off and not actually telling anyone about this, I won't protect you from the crowd. Amory spoke, beginning to walk off as many fans of the firework show began rushing in like a stampede. A hero should know how to handle large audiences after all. Clara, the rocket launchers. He was a magnet for chaos, but he somehow turned every obstacle against him to his advantage. She had no doubt that Izuku could manage this without a problem. Like she said before, he had the makings of an exceptional demon. Now all she had to do now was manage his womanizing, because he had far too many female friends for her liking. This is horrible. Absolutely, inexcusably horrible. The wine was terrible. Seriously, wasn't someone of his rank supposed to get some good quality meals? He was going to kill someone for this disgrace. It, even that sounded boring. Then again, when everyone is saved, everything sounds boring by comparison. Seriously, how could he not factor in the arrow? A rookie move, all things considered. Next time that school was going down, all communication needed to be cut off for good, violently. But that's the problem with sociopaths, the investment. Even if Ball just went and destroyed the school after making sure all obstacles were out of the picture, he needed to keep his own image safe, along with the personal lack of motivation. Too uninterested emotionally, that's what Kiriwo did best. Or at least, that's what he did best, until some sad sap he ran into joined his battler, along with said sad sap's lackeys. He didn't mind the kid gaining a little more of a following, so long as it didn't deter his progress, and for a while, that's what it looked like. Heck, he even conned them into building a bomb for him to use. But then, apparently, the sap was Sullivan's brat. In hindsight, he should have warned his protege that maybe, just maybe, that conning the grandson of the chair demon, when demon powers can only get stronger based on past generations, might not end so well. So that was on him, but he got too caught up in the moment. He wanted the kid to feel bad. Now, he was all for making useless demons grovel beneath him. That was the pinnacle of what their kind should be doing. But apparently the little snot was made out of sterner stuff, taking the bomb in his hands and throwing himself out a window to ignite it in the sky himself at the risk of killing himself. That was absolutely insane, and he didn't know whether to be more concerned or impressed. Seriously, that snot-nosed child did something insane, a full-on transformation his body couldn't handle, and channeled magic through a punch, apparently yelling out smash like some muscle brain. He froze all thought, realization pouring in. Maybe his little tip wasn't too far off after all. A kid inspired by that hero society up there, likely originated from there. He wouldn't put it past Sullivan to raise his own in the human world, or even steal one for whatever use he could get out of a human. Then again, humans and demons were practically identical with those quirks FCK up their own bodies. Seriously, it wouldn't be much longer before they equaled any demon magic, if not surpassing it altogether, before it became too much to handle. What was it they called it? Single quirk doomsday or something. Ball swirled his shitty wine, using sparks to try and up the taste. Kiriwo likely hated that kid more than ever now. He would truly be the best one to take him down. He just needed to make sure that someone got him out, making a small text using the black phone. "We'll give you lot 3 eggs for your next party, just make sure to use it to get a little friend of mine out." Understood. There, that was that loose end covered. The question now was, where does he go from here? If that kid really had a quirk that could rival that of Sullivan, even if it did mess up his body, he needed a method to strong counter that. Quirks. Now there was a thought. Maybe I should take the geezer up on that offer. What were they called again? Nomus? Izuku tinkered with the device, double-checking to make sure nothing was out of place. All right, the cannon is looking good. Never got damaged in the first place other than the fuse, which we won't light up early, right? He made sure to ask Clara. Yes, sir, I won't light it until it's time for a super boom, she shouted, glad that she learned from the experience. I must gotta say, Inko, you really know your way around this stuff. Gakko, their newest recruit, spoke up as she looked at the girl mix vials fast and furiously. Had to MSTR this fast. With the BSTRD gone? Everyone flinched. Not that they disagreed. One of us needed to know how to use gunpowder, so I just learned everything there is to know about every combination. Love is a terrifying motivator. Az spoke after a beat of silence. Huh, what did Inko love that motivated her? Wow, Inko, I didn't know you were such a quick study, makes me jealous. He humbly admitted. I have to spend hours just taking notes that I constantly have to revisit. I'm not that good at putting my thoughts into actions. Well, that and the demon world made most previous knowledge shatter like dust. Maybe we should study and share notes when we return to normal classes. Oh, yeah, that's. He should probably see a professional. Maybe Krosel and Az had a point about his muttering being contagious. That sounds like a great idea, because it's you, always having great ideas, heh. Hey, I can be there too. I need a study buddy. Izuku-kins is the only buddy I'll need. She clinged on his arm with her usual open affection. though he swore she saw Inko and her glaring hatefully. Maybe the concussion hadn't fully healed yet. Yeah, I'm gonna supervise to make sure no one has weird thoughts put into their head. Az spoke with arms crossed. Where did that come from? What's wrong with the three of them sharing notes with one another in the same room? Oh, you just want to play with us, admitted Az. Clara spoke with a giggle. I do not klavalak. He cut himself off. He's been doing that since it was pointed out, almost as if refusing to acknowledge it on principle. Not doing what? Spoke a familiar voice that had the representative scream and jump into Izuku's arms on accident. A few students walked by to the scene, muttering called it before they walked past his mother. I do hope that nobody here is being unreasonably cruel to my baby. His mother walked up to Az, who started to shake like he was afraid. Or anybody he cares about, right Az? Since when did his mother practice a villain voice? No midoriya, he spoke quickly and nervously, now standing straight and shaking as Gakko stood behind the duo. Everything is fine, just some friendly teasing between friends, right guys, right? Yeah, Mamadoriya, Az says stuff like that all the time, like to shut up you nutjob, and can we try not to walk into danger, stuff like that. Clara spoke innocently, as Az shot her an honestly betrayed look. His mother, thankfully, was taken out of this by Inko. Midoriya, she shouted, jumping up with a smile and leaving the volatile chemicals to spill on the grass. He should probably be more concerned, but enough has happened already. Yeah, guys, well, I guess Az and Clara already know, but Gakko, this is my mom. He waved to his mother, who wore her usual smile. Mom, this is Inko and Gakko, and we're the magical apparatus battler. I have so much to ask, consider, and then there's, and also, and maybe we could, Inko went on like this in a way that left even him confused and unable to follow. Gakko just took it in stride. Nice to meet you, ma'am. I'm the only sane person besides Az, who's decent enough most of the time. Nice to meet you. She spoke, holding out her hand in greeting. Oh, so you're on his side then? Mom brought out that dark voice again. Was she getting enough sleep at night? And no, I'm just saying, Az has his good qualities, and he helps out a lot. We just keep the group organized when things get a little messy. Inko seemed to calm down at this. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you for looking after my son. She gave a bow. I'm sorry to hear about what happened. It's fine. Clara spoke, uncharacteristically uncheery. He's gone, and we don't have to worry about him anymore. Izuku shouldn't have brought her in all honesty. Whenever Kuriwo came up she just lost that smile she had on before. Izuku-kin's plan worked in the end, and brought smiles to everyone. Now that was the normal Clara he loved cared for, as a friend. I know you've made him happy, Clara. I'm glad to know he's keeping you happy as well. His mom patted her reassuringly, before turning his head to Inko. Oh, so you're the one who my baby saved? He wasn't going to hear the end of this for a long time, wasn't he? Yeah. He's awesome, I deeply care about your son, she screamed into her hands before hiding behind Gakko. Guess mom's villain voice scared her too. Inko was ecstatic, such loving friends like Clara. And Az finally calmed down from being that selfish old self, and was now just a voice of reason in the group. The Gakko girl seems to have a bit of an attitude problem herself, but she presented herself as a friend unlike Az at first. Now she got to meet the cute little damsel her son rescued from the pink bra boy. Say, Mom? Her little Izuku asked. Where are Opera-san and Grandpa? Oh, they're carrying the rest of the bags. They wanted as many cameras as possible. She spoke, giving a simultaneous nervous chuckle at that with her son. They could be a bit much in these situations. Regardless, I'm glad to meet you all here. Say, where are your... Clara-chan, a voice called out, the entire group turning to see an army of Claras marching at them. She would have felt more creeped out if she hadn't gotten used to this earlier. I know I used dangerous magic yesterday that messed with my head. But do you see the Claras as well? Izuku asked. She should probably get him to a doctor. Yes, and sadly we haven't fortified our defenses well enough to compensate. How rude. Clara was adorable, so surely more of her wouldn't be a problem. Mommy, the girl cried out to the woman calling out to her, knocking her to the ground, before being dogpiled by 4 more Clara creatures. Kuchai, Kibo, Sin, Ran Nan, she shouted as she hugged them all, becoming a mini green tornado. Nice to meet you, the mother spoke, grabbing Inko's hand and shaking it with enough energy to leave her bones shaking well after it was finished. Clara talks about your precious little boy a lot, so thank you for bringing such a bright spot in her life into the world. Seriously, how strong is the gene tree? Inko felt the need to mutter. Maybe she should work on thinking before she spoke. She did stumble on words a lot. Just like her baby the more she thought about it. I guess Clara doesn't fall too far from the tree. Izuku chuckled, more amused than freaked out. Ooh, her baby has grown up so much. Clara, why don't Clara, where did you go? And we're the Valax, they all shouted, spinning into tuxedo outfits as they began tap dancing, spotlights and music coming out of nowhere. Wait, this is beyond the usual Valac oddity. Where is that music coming from? The pink-haired boy felt the need to shout. Rude, but not inaccurate. And such the family began singing about how fun it was to be in a festival such as this. Well, regardless, it's still better than having to deal with. Oh, Alice, my sweet little cotton candy, a very attractive voice called out as the boy paled instantly. Impossible. Quick, run, I'll hold her off before... His words were cut off as a woman with long pink hair grabbed the boy, tightening around his body strong. Oh, Alice, no force on this planet can hold me back. I had to dispose of Henry just for the sake of coming here, you know. She spoke sweetly. Oh, Divi, your whole family is pyromaniacs. Izuku and Inko muttered at the same time. No, it was an ear-cleaning technique, he loves it. The women pacified them. My name is Amaryllis Asmodeus, but you can call me Ama. She greeted Inko, getting in close with a hug, and there were hands wandering her body. Lovely. Do you mind taking your hands off me before something bad happens? She asked in her sickly sweet voice, laced with malicious intent. It backfired when the woman giggled above all things. Oh my, I do love such blatant forwardness. The woman sent a wink back, and Inko did not know how to take it, other than sending a stern glare. So, you're the lovely woman who BRTH the boy my little Alice talks about all the time. You're both certainly more adorable than he's let on. I'm not sure what I'm watching, Izuku whispered to his taller friend, both for the first time she's noticed sharing a similar look of agreement and discomfort. But I'm pretty sure I don't like it. Oh good, for a second I thought you would have told me to take it easy on her. Nice to know we can agree on the vital things in life. Asmodeus muttered back. Oh boy, this was the kid's mother? She should take it easier on him if he's had to deal with this mess all the time. Oh joy, we're all here, together. Let's all be friends, just like our little bundles of joy are. The Valac matriarch sprung in between the two of them, encasing them in a less invasive but overly forceful hug. We can talk and cook for each other and play games and show off family photos, like this one of my little Clara playing flesh-eating city-destroying monster with Kuchai and Kibo. She showed off a huge photo album that were mostly pictures of a younger Clara dressed in a cardboard costume. It was very adorable. Her potential grandbabies would be too cute for any world to handle. Mommy, don't show the photos, anything but the photos. Asmodeus laughed at the girl's distress and poorly tried to hide it. Now Valac, as embarrassing as this might be for you, I'm sure that your mother showing a brief PRD of your youth to others is hardly. Oh, this reminds me of the first time I made special clothing for Alice on his first day of school. Amaryllis showed off her own photo album. The dress I made for him was especially cute. On the other hand, it's best to leave the past behind, buried, and burned to ash. Asmodeus launched himself at his mother, fire blazing in each of his palms. You won't get away with it this time, mother. He didn't get far when Izuku held him back by his arm. I get that this isn't something either of you want, but I really don't think you should be reacting with such extreme. Speaking of which, embarrassing one's child to another's parents was also another duty as a mother she's neglected to do until now. Oh, that's great. Here, I have a few photos of Izuku's childhood uploaded. Inko pulled out her brand new hellphone and showed it off to the other mothers. He loved to play hero and dress up, pretending to save me from danger. Oh, he's an adorable little bunny, Amaryllis and Mrs. Valac squealed at the same time. Where? Show me baby Izuku. Inko ran up to them, and she gladly showed off the picture. That face is too pure for this world. Inko fainted from the sight. Guess Clara had a little competition. With how both seemed to care for him, it made it difficult as a mother to choose between who she preferred. Then again, she did want tons of grandchildren to spoil. Oh God, her papa was rubbing off on her. As I once again concede to your point. Izuku let his grip go with a face full of horror. Burn it. Burn it all down. Now, you can't stop us. You'll be too busy dealing with that. Amaryllis playfully pointed to a rainbow-colored sludge creature popping up from behind them. What are you on about, oh Divi? It's alive, Asmodeus shouted. It's hungry. It's got eye string. Ikuo, Gakko shouted loudly. Don't worry, I got her. Her baby leapt forward and pulled her back, making them both crash into the ground with Inko landing on top of Izuku, blushing wildly. Izuku? I can't stop myself from falling into these situations, can I? Ike asked with a shaky smile. Goo guess you'll always be there for me, huh? Izuku, for his part, blushed and turned away. Yeah, that's what a hero does. It's still moving. As the club battler continued to attack, she smiled at her baby boy. Such a fun little group with lovely friends. Now, how about we find some drinks and talk some more about our precious little children? Amaryllis said, wrapping her arms around the other women as she wow. Seriously needed to let up on Asmodeus with a woman like this as a mother. Izuku-kun had so many new friends to spoil. It was the best time to be alive, and he got to look after them and their children while all the mothers went away for a bonding session. How his little Inko could now bond herself with others like his sweet grandson. First off, there was Asmodeus's little cousins, who treated him like a big brother they worshipped so very dearly. They seemed to belittle everyone else at any expense, but they were kids that didn't know any better. They gave bright, sparkly eyes whenever Asmodeus did something cool. Then there were the little bundles of joy that were Clara Valak's younger siblings. 2 handsome young boys and 2 adorable twin girls, the boys trying to pick a fight with Asmodeus and his cousins while the baby girls climbed up Izuku's head like it was a mountain. In another life, he probably would have walked up to the Valak household and begged to be their grandfather. They seemed like they would have been reasonable enough to agree. Then Inko's little brother walked up and asked Izuku-kun for his autograph. Took a whole hour to stop the boy from crying with a smile even as he signed it. Said brother looked no worse for wear, sparkles adorning his face as though he watched an idol. Izuku was truly living out his dream. It was times like this where he anticipated the moment where he would eventually blow up Aldera Middle School for denying his grandson's happiness. The games they played were great as well. Anything that was rigged was left to Opera, who obliterated the stand with a single toss and by sheer technicality won the prize. He handed said prize to Izuku, a stuffed green bunny, which he handed off to Clara, who looked completely dazed as she hugged it like it was the last toy on earth. The little cousins grabbed their pink lion that was won by Asmodeus, saying it was amazing and beat anything Midoriya could ever give them, which sparked a war between them and Clara. A lot of chocolate bananas were thrown. Many casualties were made with innocents caught in the middle. Asmodeus and Izuku teamed up to stop the delicious madness, Asmodeus running up to Clara and burning her supply of ammo, while Izuku walked up to the little girls and handed them 2 plastic crowns he had gotten from a ring toss he surprisingly won all on his own, telling them Asmodeus would likely want to play princess with them back home. The 2 both blushed before they ran up to their cousin, begging him to play with them now. How he enjoyed these youthful times, so much lively energy in children. Now they went to a food stall area, getting candies and junk food for everyone to enjoy, including a large amount of cotton candy. What did he care about? It's not like they were even scratching his pockets, and he'd kill everyone in the demon world if it meant his adorable grandson could smile like was now. I can't stress enough how cute your boy is in this picture. The Asmodeus head, as well as his fellow member of the Crows, spoke a bit boisterous to his daughter as she and sat with each other, watching the lively display as they scrolled through Izuku-kun's baby photos. Alice referred to him as plain-looking. I don't see how he ever got that impression. And your son usually has this grimace on his face nowadays, but his smile here is absolutely adorable. Inko returned, pointing at a dancing Asmodeus. So innocent like nothing can go wrong. I must say, my little Clara has never been happier in her life. She was always the most cheerful in the house, but nowadays, it's like the sun shines through her face every morning. The Valak matriarch giggled, pointing to Clara and Izuku playing tag with each other. Ever since she's learned about friends, it's like she believes she'll never be alone. I believe I have both your children to thank for that. Oh, Alice would never admit it. He's too stiff to spill his guts out to anyone. But he's been more lively around the house ever since that first day of school. I'm assuming it's all thanks to your little Izu-kun. Amaryllis winked, and he felt the need to give her a long talk in a dark corner. Yay, his overly protective parental instincts have finally kicked in. I appreciate the praise, but you should be thanking Izuku himself. I don't think I can claim credit for his kind heart. Inko said solemnly. I've never been the most supportive of my baby. I'm just glad he's finally able to be happy around other people for a change. Of course you can take credit, spoke Mrs. Valak with a wild yet kind smile. A mother's job is to help the naive and innocent child grow into something appealing, untainted by the dark world yet strong enough to overcome it. Just look at him now. She pointed at the smiling child. He's that kind and gentle because he was taught how to be by you. Inko looked stunned, tears forming in the corner of her eyes. She didn't have the strength to keep it in and became a human-sized waterfall that turned the streets of the festival into a canal for all to canoe through, because it was the only way people would be able to travel anywhere now. Looks like it was time to fulfill his fatherly duties. There, Inko, darling. It's all right. You're a good mother. He patted her back as she clung to his suit much like her son did earlier. She was stilled for a moment, before having the audacity to look offended. What are you doing? This is mother's time. Wait, what? This wasn't how it was supposed to play out. Yes, Sir Sullivan, I know you rank above me, but I didn't think you were so insensitive to the delicate needs of women confiding in one another. Amaryllis spoke with an insulted look. Wait. You can't speak out about your superior in their personal life, only their work life. You're supposed to help us by looking after the kids, if not you then all that's left is opera, and they're just one person. Mrs. Valak of all people accused him. Wow, that stung way more than it would have normally. What could you do when the embodiment of joy and fun itself called you irresponsible? Is he always like this? That must get tiring to deal with all the time. Okay, now they were just rubbing salt in the wound. Oh, he's even worse at work. While everyone tries to discuss politics and the actual function of the world, the three headmasters of the brightest demon schools just huddle inside of their room and talk in secret. According to Azazel, all they do is just chat about their grandchildren. Hey, don't go spoiling stuff like that to outsiders. She's supposed to be on his side. I'm sorry you have to deal with that Amaryllis. I'll make sure to take him aside once we get him home. Okay, it was becoming clear they would just be insulting him until he left. Oh, the nightmare of being a father and grandfather. Oh, one thing, Papa. Inko said sweetly as she whispered in his ear, and for a split second, he thought he was going to get an apology, not that he would ever be mad at her. By everything in hell, he was way off the mark. Don't tell me you only adopted us just for bragging rights around your friends. Ah, did humans have an evil cycle? He thought that was a demon-only thing. Oh, would you look at that? Izuku and the gang are getting into some trouble. Better bail them out later. And with that, for the first time in the history of the Netherworld, the demon Lord Sullivan ran from a fight. As far as anyone would know, it was simply a strategic retreat. Now then, it's time for the results of the division party vote. Lily and Vile couldn't believe it. They got to see their cousin in action, winning against anything in his path. They loved how he always stomped everything in his path, and ever since he met that Midoriya guy, his passion for everything only seemed to burn brighter. It was kinda annoying at times though. He would get so worked up over his rival that he started to ignore them, and that was just rude. They already knew he was better than that Moss head boy any day of the week. Just look at how skinny he is, and he mutters all creepy too. Just give the grand prize to Az already. He made amazing fire flowers across the sky. He's obviously the best guy around here. Lily passionately defended her big cousin, who slowly patted her head. Now, it's the prize of the battler, not just me. He reminded them. Yeah, we all made the fire flowers go boom and kapow. Just stay out of this green-haired lady. You're obviously not worthy to be in Az's presence. Besides, it wasn't Asmodeus who came up with the idea, it was all Izuku's. The blonde lady shouted indignantly. He came up with the idea, the setup, and even set off the biggest one all by himself. So if anyone here is going to take home their own prize, it has to be him. Really? Vile asked with a weird blush on her face. She's been like that ever since Midoriya gave them those crowns. Well, obviously it wouldn't have worked without Az's fire. Therefore, the credit goes to him. I mean, she has a point, Midoriya muttered. On the first day you guys did a light show while things were happening. We would have just been another name in the wind if it wasn't for you. The rival has already admitted defeat. If it wasn't for me, Kiriwo wouldn't have been so close to blowing up the school. Wait, what was that about blowing up the school? Midoriya, I think you should keep that under wraps, especially with children listening in, the dragon lady admonished before quitting down. Besides, I thought we all agreed everything was that guy's fault, not yours. I'll literally take back every other danger junkie comment if you stop the self-pity party. Gakko makes a valid point. Izuku, their big strong cousin, agreed. Wait, since when did he start acting nice to other people? Could it be? No, it's impossible. Don't tell me you're trying to S-duck Az. Vile shouted her very thoughts out. They were always in sync like that. Obviously she noticed the girl trying. I thought you liked me. Wait, since when did they fall out of sync? This is all your fault, danger junkie. You're ruining my life. Lily ran, foaming at the mouth, before being held back by the dragon lady. Don't think you're off the hook either, lizard girl. I see how you look at him. What? No, it's not. Why does everyone come to that conclusion? The danger junkie in question muttered. I blame the bird. I will end him one day. With vengeance. Asmodeus swore, fire catching a peeling fire that dazzled the duo. Not my type. Lizard girl simply stated, as if Az was everyone's type. Now then, for this year's You Did Your Best award. Everyone turned, intensity filling the air as a static tension held everyone back from their next move. The one who gets the new clubroom filled with better anonymities is the new magic battler. The students gave an uproar. The new magic they used was to give drinks and juices of all kinds to everyone in the courtyard to cool down with. They could see a shady-looking guy with rings on his hands, waking up with a peace sign, the usual 666 of course. The president himself had this weird look as he muttered to the announcer teacher. They earned their spot. The smoothies were really good. The blonde chick smiled at the group. However, we're gonna get first. I doubt it. My rival, shouted a loud voice behind them. The group turned to see a massive muscled mountain that was currently being climbed by a blonde girl. Sabnok's going to be the Demon King. Don't go doubting my big brother, the girl yelled. Whatever, Lily shouted back. Az is way more amazing than him. He'll be something better than the Demon King. That is literally impossible. Her cousin corrected her. After everything I've gone through so far this year, I'm not ever sure such a position is even a good fit for me. Plus, the higher up you are in any form of hierarchy, the more paperwork and responsibility exists, until you're eventually crushed under the weight of the work and die a lonely and miserable death. Everyone stared at the dragon girl in stunned silence. What? I just wanted a middle-class job. Guys, it's literally just the first half of this quarter of the school year. I'm certain that there's no rush to pick a specific career path this early on. The moss-headed boy joined in on the conversation. We all have time to figure out what we'll do. Easy for you to say. Izuku, you already know what you want to do. Save everyone with a smile and all that. Az rolled his eyes in a teasing manner. Wow, either he actually respected the guy, or her cousin was going soft. It's a great dream, and he's gonna be awesome and save everyone on the planet, Inko shouted. Again guys, first half of the quarter, we really don't need to overthink our lives here. Yeah, what's there to figure out? I already know what I want to do. The green-haired girl climbed on the boy's back and kicked her legs in the air. I'm going to keep Izuku-kin smiling so he can keep others smiling. Vile looked like she was jealous, saying something about womanizing. Now then, onto the WOW award, the speaker shouted, as everyone silenced again. Anticipation brewing with mutters and hopes of themselves. They can keep their stupid second place, Asmodeus would win first. And the winner is... Me, Muscle Mountain shouted loudly, as the girl on his backside. How can you be first if you're second, big bro? She muttered as if she had to explain this before. Wow, this guy must be an idiot. The Black Magic Battler. Lily watched the white-haired girl walk up to the stage, only to share a glance with her that, on an instinctual level, understood she was looking at someone who understood her anger. Well, it wasn't like Gakko doubted her chances, but she'd be lying if she wasn't worried. She didn't even join a battler until almost the very last minute, and it was with the guys that accidentally helped a psychotic upperclassman. At least they made a big showing so people would remember her by association, even if she's done little to earn it. Still, it wasn't a stretch to see the Black Magic Battler win the WoW award. She's seen the work on their curses, really advanced stuff. You'd think with the Black Ice curse they would be more fitted being called the Torture Magic Battler. Wow, Crosel must really be nervous right about now. She doesn't really do well with big crowds, or attention in general. Midoriya muttered as the audience clapped. True enough, the girl shivered a bit, despite the glance with Az's cousins, and stayed back as the award was accepted. For creating a special black ice to show off to the world, they get an increased budget as well as a special object of their choosing. They saw the white-haired girl getting handed a particularly large book with foreboding images, along with what looked like a bag of green hair. Which one was the special item she won? True, their ice was impressive. I tried to melt it for a solid few minutes, but barely filled up the cup underneath. Az muttered, a begrudging acceptance from him of all people. It apparently is cold enough to freeze one's soul as well. I may be at my limit if I ever find myself against anything like that. Black is bleak. I'd pick your colorful fire any day. Gakko reassured with a wave of a hand. Stop trying to flirt with Az, the little girl shouted. Again, not interested. Seriously, he was so not her type, just the only person she could talk to without fear of something trying to kill them, or something exploding, or something killing them with an explosion. How crazy do the others have to be if you're somehow the least crazy of them all? Okay, 1. I take offense that you question my sanity, and 2. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. He groaned with an eye roll. The worst part about it is that I can't really stop them. Their hearts are in the right place, and I've only been a jerk in my efforts to tame them. And that place happens to be your ego, right? Inko teased, causing an eye twitch from Az. Geez, the girl's gotten bolder since she joined these guys. Don't stress too much about it, Gakko. A few days with Izuku and the others will change your tune in no time. Really, guys, you're making a bigger deal out of it than you think. I'm not that special or unique. Well, how unique was everyone else where you came from before Babbles? Gakko asked. Midoriya looked like he forgot how to breathe, like he was having a war flashback. For the first time since she's met him, she genuinely felt worried for the boy's mental state. No comment? It's not a fun story to tell, Gakko. Inko explained to her. Maybe when we can talk about it more seriously later. Didn't sound like an enlightening tale at all. As did say many had a problem misunderstanding the danger junkie. Guess she really was one of those people. Izuku-kins, look. The group turned, seeing Sabnok, then the little sister of Sabnok piggybacking on his shoulders, then Clara piggybacking on her shoulders. I have ascended beyond the Sabnok peak. I have become the true climber of Sabro Valley. Wow, impressive. Someday I'll climb you instead, senpai, the girl shouted without a care. Clara has a kohai. We need to diffuse the situation carefully. Az tried to speak with a mock whisper. Let her be happy. It's a challenge she's wanted to overcome since classes started. And the honor student was back to smiling. Maybe Clara had a point about keeping Midoriya happy. She didn't want to know what an unhappy Izukumidoriya looked like. And now, we shall reveal the winner of the grand prize. Everyone began stomping their feet, and she quickly joined. This was it, the big reveal. And the winner is... I shall take the throne, Sabnok shouted loudly. None other than... No, Izuku-kins will win, Clara shouted as well. The broadcasting battler, the teacher announced, as everyone cheered. Despite the cheers, the group itself was relatively content-looking. What? She broke the silence plaguing them. Even the battler being shown up on stage looked confused as heck. How the hell does that happen? I forgot they were even a thing. For being an integral part of orchestrating the festival, and their eager cooperation with the staff of Beyblades, they'll receive the reward of rising up 1 rank, with the president rising up 2. I actually get to rank up? I'm ranking up by 2. The president looked a bit like Izuku did with all the tears. I never thought this day would come. The Gimel 3 badge glowed brightly as he accepted the trophy, quickly becoming a Hei 5 that he displayed proudly. I, Bathan Baraki, have ranked up to a Hei 5, he shouted proudly, screaming with tears. Oh, come on, that's completely uncalled for. We put all that work into putting on that show, and this is the gratitude we get, Asmodeus screamed to the heavens. Just because they helped the teachers, that means they get special treatment. Justice for Izuku Kins, Velok readied a bazooka she hoped wouldn't actually be lethal in any way. They likely helped the teachers with that, guys. Izuku shut him up as Clara piped down too. It's fine though, just look at them. All the strong work they put in paid off at the end. It's nice to see them get what they deserve. What about what you deserve, Izuku? Inko shook his body. You stopped Kuriwo and exposed his evil intentions. You saved everyone like the hero you strive to be. Doesn't it make you a little upset they're not even acknowledging that? Yeah, but I didn't tell anyone either. I just went off on my own. Like they said, I was being irresponsible. He patted her head, causing a blush. Besides, there's still other moments in the year to rank up. It's not a rush. Wow, that's the most sense I've ever heard coming out of your mouth. Gakko blinked in shock. You're really just a bleeding heart that gets in over his head, aren't you? She preferred that over a danger junkie anytime. I try my best. Even if I can't do anything, I'll always try to make things better. He nodded. You're not having any doubts about joining now, are you? There's still a few lingering, don't get me wrong. But you cleared away most, so I guess I'm stuck here, she sighed. Well, at least the fireworks were successful. We'll gain a little popularity for all our troubles. The rest nodded along as the audience cheered, all beginning to get up and make their way out, except none of the teachers or students on the stage moved, and none of the doors opened for them to leave. What more could they want? Wasn't that it? Asmodeus asked out loud. Silence. Their happy times are interrupted by the scary teacher, Caligo, showing up and quieting the entire student body instantly. I don't fully understand or support the decision, but a last-minute addition to the prize category has been made. He sighed, looking like he wanted to do anything else. He pulled out a backboard. There was an incident where a student acted recklessly but did good. Punishment and reward were scaled, and it was ultimately decided this would be for them. So let's laugh at these fools for their shameful trophy, which shall be earned as a single rank-up for a single battler member. He revealed the name of the trophy. The Tricky Award. Would a single member of the magical apparatus battler come up and claim their pity prize? The audience murmured in excitement, some apparently glad that they actually got any prize at all for all their troubles. For a second, I actually thought people would be mad. They really loved the fireworks, didn't they? Guys, one of us can actually rank up, Midoriya cheered loudly. Now we need to decide who gets it. Something like this should go to the president, but Kuriwo's gone and we haven't picked a new leader. Asmodeus, you want to take charge here? Everyone stared at Izuku like he was a moron, and it was strong to see why not. What? Should I pick Gakko instead? Izuku, you do realize we all are looking at the person we want to rank up, right? Az asked him. Izuku blinked a few times in confusion. Again, the fireworks are your idea. You're only a bet too, and you really deserve bigger. Inko continued to point out the obvious. Izuku Kins is our leader, even before we joined this club. There's no one else but you, Velok shouted, and yeah, it wasn't like any of them could argue with her. Izuku still looked like he was trying to find an excuse. Oh, for Divi's sake. Gakko picked him up and held him in the air. He was lighter than he looked, and he looked pretty dang light. You'll thank me for this later. She threw him over the crowd and towards the stage. For a kind nerd, he can be a real idiot. Heh, idiot nerd. Gotta remember that. Asmodeus snorted. She heard a muttering near her as Izuku walked to the stage, turning and seeing Crosel chanting with a doll with green hair. She chose not to dwell on that, or the fact the two girls were looking at Crosel in awe. Can't believe I'm saying this, but he deserves it. She admitted to everyone else. How can anyone with his reputation be that dense to genuine praise? It's like he can't see the value in his own work or something. Again, it's not a story we can share lightly, Asmodeus muttered. We were lucky that Izuku told us the first time. I don't think he's ever been this comfortable with other demons before to share something so personal. Well, demons rarely shared personal things with ones they're close with in the first place, so that made some sense. She watched him get told something too quiet to hear from here, before being given his rank up. From a Bet 2 into a Gimel 3. It's amazing, isn't it? He ranked up so quickly in such a short time. Inko continued her usual spiel about Izuku, but this time she at least understood why she was so plus ultra about it. I gotta keep up with him. I need to get better at something else so we can rank up together next time. Yeah, because now me and Izuku-kins are Gimel 3 buddies. Ha ha ha. Clara laughed in a way to taunt Inko. Seriously, the dude was too much effort. What was their deal here? Lady Red Hair stands no chance, so you should just give up. Lady Red Hair? She wasn't talking about Student Council President Amory Azazel, was she? Antichrist, that poor kid. He eventually walked back with a bright smile. I made it to Gimel 3, he smiled widely, and unlike before, she didn't believe it was out of excitement for danger, but simple joy of having a strong earned prize received. I can't stop now, though. I gotta keep climbing higher and higher. For the right of the Demon King's throne, Sabro yelled from behind him. Thou hast bested me yet again, rival, but don't think I shan't catch up. I'll surpass 1,000 to reach Yod 10 before thou art aware of it. Not if I get there first. Huh, this was a first for her. She's never seen him so fired up over something. I'm still not certain about being Demon King, but I won't be at the bottom anymore. I'll prove myself through merit, and I'll become a hero, says the guy that just saved the school. There was humility, and there was whatever Izuku did. She's been referring to him as Izuku for a while now. Weird. The honor student held out his right hand as a fist, sticking it out. Sabro looked like he was confused, before returning the same smirk and connected his own fist with Izuku's. There's the fire I've been searching for. All right, my friend, let the race for the throne begin. Now let us begin the school anthem. After this, let the race begin. He corrected himself. And soon, the whole school was singing along. She stole a few looks at Izuku, looking at peace, not shaking, just showing a hint of joy as he sang along with everyone else. It was strange. Right now, among everyone else, Asmodeus, Clara, Inko, herself, out of every demon in Beyblades, Izuku looks like the most normal guy here. Even as his eyes got slightly dull around fierce humans, which seemed like a weird point to notice something at. And then came an internal question, something she pointed out due to how normal he looked compared to everyone else, as she noticed a single difference. Where are his horns? Ida Tenya, a proud teenager who vows to uphold his family's name, is frustrated at what's in front of him. The blue-haired boy, lighter shade than him, but still ruining the name of Bluenets everywhere, was an utter disgrace to what a hero should be. It was bad enough when he and that blonde hooligan started a ruckus during Present Mike's announcement, distracting everyone that had come to take the exam seriously, but now the boy was distracting another examiner by talking to her? Surely, this boy was a shame to all aspiring heroes everywhere. He wanted to confront the boy, give him a stern talking to about the commitment and responsibility it takes to be a hero and how he should leave while all the serious candidates earned their rightful place. But the test had just started, and there was no room for questioning everyone else when he himself needed to prove his mettle as a student candidate. He had gotten 15 points so far, but time was of the vital essence. If he allowed himself to slow down for even a second, then there wouldn't be enough fofos left for him to prove his worthiness at such a prestigious institute. Even then he couldn't help but gawk at the display of the fellow blue hair, messing around and dodging every attack coming his way instead of reacting head-on. He hadn't gathered up a single point. What was his goal here? He heard a scream, seeing a pink girl about to have some rubble from a stray missile land on her. He knows he shouldn't waste time, it's a test, but maybe he should run in and help. Look out! Only to see the blue-haired kid already rushing and tackling them both out of the way. Sorry about that, are you all right? He asked. Oh yeah, thanks. She nodded, staring at him even as the reckless examiner ran off. Ida decided to keep a closer eye on him even as he crushed the bots, albeit at a slower pace, due to confidence in his point count. Every time someone was in danger he got them out flawlessly, and he never used his quirk, unless it was just dodging. The boy was obviously scared, but for some reason he kept going out of his way, getting people out of supposed danger. He did the same for a blonde student with a stomach laser, another for a girl with vine-like hair, and another for what looked like a flying pair of boots and gloves. If this was a real-life situation, he'd call it admirable. But surely the teachers wouldn't allow someone to actually get hurt. There was no reason to go out of your way to help people here. Ida's internal tirade was cut off as the zero-pointer appeared, and despite how bad it hurt him on the inside, he would have to question the judgment of said teachers. It was the only thing to do when faced with a behemoth of metal. "Don't worry, I got you." The blue-haired boy ran up to the metal monster without a second thought as Ida himself ran away. Again? This was a zero-pointer. There wasn't a need to face off against such a foe, so why? "Please don't leave me." He turned his head slightly down, noticing the same girl the boy was talking to before the exam started. The boy merely took a hold of the piece of rubble pinning the girl's leg down and pushed and pushed. As he did, streaks of red vein-like structures formed across his arms and legs until... whoosh! The piece of rubble was flown into the air, faster than any bullet, any jet, any rocket that Ida had ever seen in his life, and it was aimed right at the mecha's center, sending it crumbling down. "You did it! You actually saved What happened to your body?" This girl cried out as the boy fell to the floor, arms and legs bruised a dark purple, and so misshapen that they looked more like raisins in the sun than limbs. It was incredible. This boy risked 0 points and a broken body just to save a girl. If this wasn't a test, he surely would have done the same. Wait a minute. Was that the point? Did the teachers deliberately leave out such a crucial factor of the test to see who would do it anyways? If it wasn't a test, I surely would have. But he didn't. This boy, who he scoffed at for the entire test, constantly went out of his way to get people to safety, even when it cost him points of his own. Hell, even with the broken limbs, he was concerned about the girl. Oddly, he could hear muttering about not as bad as the forest, which concerned him greatly. It was like his first instinct was to get others to safety first and foremost. Anything else after that came second. Ida Tenya learned that day there were many factors to being a qualified hero student. And this boy, this Uruma Suzuki, as he later learned from the test results, was more of a hero than he was by a wide margin. Truly, he had much to learn from this kid. And that was how UA had its record of rescue points broken into 120 points. What's Hisashi Midoriya been up to? That demon was the luckiest thing to ever happen to Hisashi. Thank you, scary geezer. Ever since then he had the guy put all his money into cash, which he slowly began to deposit into his bank. He couldn't do it all at once after all. But now he had enough money to last a lifetime. Everything was coming up Hisashi. Now then, time to find a decent BRTHL to spend his first true life in his, from now on, work-free life. This time he'd be sure to avoid impregnation at all, not going to have a BSTRD son to take care of. It would also be better to make sure the women he hung around from now on didn't get too attached. The last thing he needed was an overly emotional, overbearing lady guilt-tripping him into a relationship again. "Hey, fleshbag, mind watching where you're stepping over here?" A sudden voice came from out of nowhere. "You know what? Screw it. I'm tired of being stepped all over." What the? Hisashi found himself covered in some sort of dark green slime, restraining his arms and legs. "What are you?" "I did not escape from All Might and flee over the Atlantic Ocean, and let me tell you, water is a beach to me, just to get stepped on like I'm a pile of SHT. The sludge creature shouted at him, a disfigured face forming from the midst of its oozing body. "Go to hell," he shot fire from his breath. He finally made it to the good life by sending his wife and son there. What's one more body to add to the pile? Unfortunately, the sludge creature managed to dodge, being able to swivel his way around his own fleshy body and restraining him to the ground. Well, what do you know? A human meat suit with a decent quirk. It's been a while since I've been able to come across one. The ooze laughed. It's too bad I can't go down the front end. Luckily, meatbags have too. What are you? He froze, realizing what that entailed. Like hell you will. He summoned all the fire he could, his lungs burning, his heart and throat burning to a crisp. But it was better to have third-degree burn than to take it up the butt. No, the monster cried in intense pain, the fire spreading to everyone around him, burning whatever it was in his path. Soon, the creature was nothing more than ash. take that. USHT covered BSTRD. He breathed deeply, trying to get his bearings. Okay, trip to the hospital, in case he overused his quirk. Then BRTHL. Freeze dirtbag, he turned and saw an officer. Oh great, he can explain what happened and get a ride. You're under arrest for illegal quirk usage and endangering the lives of others. What are you talking about? That was self-defense, I was. He tried to point to the villain, which was nothing but Ash. Well, I didn't hurt anyone. He then noticed all the civilians that had burn marks all over them. SHT. He wasn't paying attention to where it was spreading. Tell it to the judge. The cop began to cuff the man. No, come on, this was his free life. He didn't have to deal with anyone's SHT anymore. Wait, what do I have to worry about? I'm rich. I'll just buy the best lawyer and I'm scot-free. Good thing I just put most of the money in the back already. You mean the bank you just burned to the ground? The officer pointed to the pile of bricks where the back used to be. I suppose we can add arson to your list of charges. No. This wasn't how it was supposed to be. He was supposed to be happy. Come on, what did he do to deserve this? Human-demon bonding time, Nedzu and Sullivan, drinking tea with wisdom. Ah, hell's gray, nothing but imperial gold tips could match the flavor. A truly dark taste that tickled the bitter sections of the tongue, but somehow added to the charm of it. It was times like this he appreciated the countless hours of study he had to endure to learn the demon tongue, when it meant he could enjoy little sips of joy with a fellow creature of chaos. So, you really have all your new applicants fight giant robots just to get in, and here I thought humans were soft. The joyful voice, coming from the tall figure named Sullivan, responded as he made his own cup. If they can't take on something that's strong, with or without combat quirk, then they wouldn't be able to take down a 2-bit thug. The rat reasoned. And I'm surprised you simply have a written exam, nothing else? At Babel's grades are a major product. Let the other schools deal with raw power. The chair demon shrugged. We save the physical endeavors for the ranking exams. 5 within the first year. If they can't move up by 1 at least within that time, then it's kind of on them. Yes, your demon ranks. There seems to be more freedom. Perhaps I should start adding to the curriculum to the hero course. Maybe an investigation course, a seminar on hostage negotiation, etc. Oh, and here I thought you were against ranks, always complaining about the commission and their systems. The old man teased, taking a sip from his tea. I'm against their popularity contests. The ranks themselves are a fine way to isolate the best of the best for when a situation needs it. Nezu nibbled on a piece of cheese. At the very least, there seems to be less general discouragement of lesser specimens to move up. Oh no, we deal with that constantly. Problem with ranks in general is that people assume it equates to strength, disregarding the important factors like mind and heart. It's why we trust the ranking owl so well. It gives everyone what they deserve. Even giving my cute little Izuku-kun his ring. Ah, how he's improved so much. Ah, and people complained about him rambling. When it came to grandsons, the man wouldn't shut up. Oh right, the human boy and his mother you adopted from the human world. Quirkless, I believe he was. Nezu idly remembered. I must admit, even after allowing quirkless applicants into the hero course, I wouldn't have ever expected someone like this to excel. Oh come on now, don't you have your own quirkless candidate in the hero course? A young Suzuki, if I recall? Oh no, he's not quirkless. He's the next holder of one for all. He trusted this man with everything, and the same was trusted unto him. He knew that Sullivan would never spill the beans, mostly out of lack of interest, unless he planned on giving it to his grandson. Really hoping that wasn't the case. Ah, the old flame. It's a beauty really, but best to let it breathe and expand. You don't know what you'll need for these days. Ominous, just the way he liked it. Yes, just like your grandson's magic constantly rising with each rank. Seems both young prodigies are growing exceptionally, although young Suzuki could stand to study a little more. He blamed the boy's family life, but there wasn't much he could do. They had no strong evidence if it was just them asking their boy in return for head pats. The boy making close friends so quickly helped with that a little, even if that Hagakure girl seemed a bit possessive. There was an idea there. Maybe she could gain some extra credit in stealth infiltration. I know, I'm so proud. and I can't wait for the first ever exchange class we have planned for them in their 3rd year. Izuku-kun is going to be so happy around nice humans, unlike that Katsuki bakugou that ruined him. Ah, he was excited too. Thank you, Sullivan, for ruining this horribly so. Speaking of which, I believe you come for your end of the deal? Nedzu laughed a little. Aldera Middle School is out of session, and there are no students or faculty inside at the moment. It was a fair deal. Nedzu got an endless supply of netherworld knowledge he could spend a millennium studying, and Sullivan got to blow up a school. Win-win. Wonderful, thank you again, Nedzu. I know demons aren't fond of contracts, but they're wonderful when you bond with a common soul. More tea? Of course, anytime. What if Izuku was raised by the Suzukis? Izuku truly hated his life, he really did. He was a quirkless kid in a quirkless school with butt parents because his old ones died in a villain attack. Sure, he was saved by All Might, but the injuries were too great at the time. Thus he was stuck sweeping the attic because they complained about allergies. The only actual benefit he could see to everything in his life was the biological, not to mention quirkless, son of the Suzukis and his adoptive brother, Uruma. Seeing that kid it wasn't weird to call him kid, even if they were the exact same age. Smile at any moment in time made his crappy existence worth living. It wasn't an easy life for either of them. He got a raw deal with villains attacking, but Uruma was practically bred into being at SLV for his parents, not theirs. Uruma was his brother, but he will forever deny the Suzukis ever being parents to anyone. Hardly ever gone to school because his stupid parents constantly took him out to work overseas jobs. They did the same thing with him, but less frequently because, whether people cared about him or not, Izukumidoriya was a name that people were aware of. Uruma Suzuki, as far as people knew, didn't even exist. It was times like this, sweeping the attic, that Izuku knew he had to work twice as strong for the both of them. He glanced at the brunette, looking like he was going to faint from how intensely he stared at the book he was given. Ugh, can I go back to sweeping? Sneezing for 16 hours is better than this. Uruma whined, tears leaking out of his eyes. Come on, Uruma-kun, you have to keep reading. If we both want to live on our own, we need to keep studying and at least pass high school. That's the only way people like us can afford getting a decent job around here. They had a deal. Izuku would take on half of Uruma's workload on top of his own, and Uruma would try to fill in the gaps of his education with extra studying. It wasn't as simple as it sounded. Izuku didn't have Uruma's ingrained survival instincts, and Uruma didn't have Izuku's overzealous analytical brain. Thus both boys were experiencing exhaustion on 2 different fronts. But Izuku-kun, we both know they'll never give good jobs to quirkless people. Sad, but not untrue. So many jobs had people still looking down on them for the sole fact they were quirkless, despite doing a decent job. It's one of the reasons his BSTRD Fosters were able to get away with so much in the first place. I know, but there has to be more to our lives than this endless servitude. There was still his dream of being a hero, but even if he truly believed it was possible, the fact was that Uruma didn't share that same passion he had. In fact, Uruma didn't have any ambitions or goals other than making sure to live to see the next day. Another thing he could blame on those stupid parents of his. If he made it to UA, then that would leave his brother at the whims of his parents, not to mention the uneasy feeling knowing that the Suzukis would find a way to ride his coattails if he made it to the hero course. It's not so bad. I mean, sure they're sending us on that fishing boat next week for about 2 months, but at least we'll be together this time. Uruma said with a content smile that made Izuku both cringe and smile as well. Leave it to his brother to look on the bright side of his slavery. At least I'll have a chance to get away from all these books. He closed the one he was studying and flung them to the ground. Uruma-kun, you shouldn't damage them. If the school ever notices it going missing, it'll be out of our pockets. Hey, what's this doing here? A book he didn't recognize was mixed in with the textbooks. Demon Summoning for Dummies. Must be one of Mom and Dad's. Nice to know what they're spending all our strong-earned cash on. Uruma let out an exasperated groan. Great, just great. I know that they're stupid, but what are they doing getting into weird stuff like this? I don't know. Something tells me we don't want to know either. There's a lot of talk about human sacrifices in this book. He flipped through it quickly, able to get a brief glance at each page. I just wish there was something we could do about the Suzukis. Hey, One of the pages caught on his finger, covering it in BLD. Dang it, this is the most annoying. He trailed off as a fire out of nowhere appeared, and purple smoke filled the room. Izuku-kun, are you all right? He heard his brother call out, even grabbing onto his arm once he was able to bump into it. But that still didn't get rid of the foreboding presence they suddenly felt in the room. I have been summoned. State your business. A tall old man in a purple suit with horns appeared before them. Huh. I didn't expect them to make the summon this quickly. Who are you two? I'm Iruma Suzuki, and this is my brother, Izukumidoriya. His brother replied on instinct with his kind nature. Iruma-kun, don't just give out our identities to complete strangers. He just came out of a book. We don't know what his deal is. It can't really be any worse than how our lives are now. Just because you make good points doesn't mean it makes mine any less valid. Sorry. I usually don't get into contracts with children. I'm not sure exactly how to proceed from here. The stranger spoke in a more gentle voice than either boy expected. Well, I suppose I should ask if there's anything you two longing. Wait, are you saying you're an actual demon? Izuku asked for both of them, putting his hand protectively over Iruma. And you have the power to give us what we want? Well, almost. There's a price for everything. I could give you power or a quirk, for example, but contracts like that often require someone's soul in exchange, or at the very least a few years off of your life. Really? We can do that, Iruma said excitedly, although it quickly fell into disappointment. Wait, we can't do that. That's just mean and evil. Izuku nodded his head in agreement. Yeah, we can't just give up someone's soul for our benefit, not even the Suzuki's. As despicable as they were, Izuku could never lower himself to the level of a villain. Another thought came to mind. But say if someone wanted to live a better life, no money trouble, nobody to harm them, just general peace and quiet. Well then they have to offer something of equal value. Animal sacrifices, servitude to whoever they summoned, things like... The demon paused, looking at the two curiously. Oh, I do actually have a contract of sorts on my person. If you're willing to take it, that is. I'll take it. Both said at the same time. What, Izuku? You can't do this. You heard the scary demon man. If you accept it, you'll just be another SLV to someone else. It's better for me to take it than you. You've been a SLV all your life. This might be your one chance to get away. You know, there's nothing in the contract that says you can't both sign it. You'll share both the rewards and the price, but I can guarantee neither of you will be without the other. Izuku looked at his brother, whose eyes were widened. Izuku, I don't mind being alone. I don't have friends or even a life outside of this. You did. You had people before my stupid parents took you. I'll be fine. You're the only one I have left in this world, Iruma. Nobody cares about me other than you. Being your brother is the closest thing I have to being a hero. Iruma still looked uncertain as the demon handed them both pens to a contract he had out. Only if you're certain about it. Izuku didn't want to do this, but the situation was too good to pass up, and he didn't want to leave the one good thing in his life behind. Please, trust me. He exploited his brother's weakness, the inability to say no to a request, especially if please was involved. He would apologize later. Of course, Iruma spoke, signing the paper, only to blink a second later. The contract burned with their signatures. All right then, you shall both live a blissful life. In exchange, you both shall be my sweet little grandchildren, he shouted as the boys froze, looking at each other. Grandchildren? Lesson time with Bloody Quirk-sama, rankings of heroes and demons. Izuku, welcome class everyone, I'm Izuku. Amory, and I'm Amory. Today we shall be talking about hero rankings and demon rankings. Izuku, hopefully we can get through this lesson without getting into more lewd subject matter. Amory, by mentioning it, you're getting into it, you know. Izuku, ignores this first, we'll start with the hero rankings, a system designed by the Hero Commission to allow people's choice in what they do through popularity. Amory, popularity? Are you saying that they don't actually earn the power of the rank they possess? Izuku, well, popularity is a big part, but not the only. The number 2 hero, Endeavor, actually got where he is through his sheer amount of arrests. Compared to a majority of heroes, the top 10 are where they are because they definitely are skilled and strong enough to remain there. We also have different ranking systems all over the world, so this is mainly how Japan works. Amory, now I see, you support competition by getting others to battle for changeable ranks as you grow more and more. Truly impressive subtlety. Izuku, I highly doubt that's the case. Let's talk about demon ranks now. Amory, of course. Now then, the 10 ranks are Aleph 1, Bet 2, Gimel 3, Dalet 4, Hey 5, Vav 6, Zayn 7, Ket 8, Tet 9, and Yod 10. The higher the rank, the better a demon you are. Dalet is the minimum requirement for graduation. So many strive to obtain that at the very least while in babbles. Izuku, something important to note is that while both ranking systems require action and merit to move up the totem pole, only the demon ranks really seem to allow those weak or powerless to change their situations for the better. While being assigned a low rank is certainly no picnic, physical prowess and magical ability isn't the only contributing factor to one's rank. Amory, yes, there are plenty of other methods such as displays of beauty and academics that also allow the growth of a demon's rank. This lasts until you reach Yod 10, making you a candidate for the Demon King. Izuku, is the Demon King really that big of a deal? Amory, that's like saying All Might isn't that big of a deal. Izuku, take that back. Amory, you know I am only kidding. Izuku. Now, what is it about the hero rankings that makes it so fundamentally worse than the demon ranks? Izuku, well, as you mentioned before, a lot of it is centered around popularity. Most of that can be traced towards the fact that flashy and destructive quirks are more often than not better suited for hero work than any other kind of quirk. Amory, that makes sense. The stronger the quirk, the stronger the hero, right? Izuku, that doesn't necessarily mean a better hero. Generations of kids often grow up with the mentality that if your quirk can't burst down buildings or let you run at Mach 1 speeds, it's weaker or defective than others. Then you get the opposite extreme of those who think it's easy if you can just blast your enemies to dust. Amory, that does paint the whole hero society you humans base yourselves on rather bleakly. Izuku, well, there are some exceptions to this. Heroes like Edshot, who can fold himself like paper, and Maruko, who's basically a giant rabbit, are able to break through the mold through extensive training of their own quirks. Then there's ones like Eraserhead who most are caught off guard by due to his secrecy and activities as an ungrounded hero. Though, most see them as a result of a strong quirk rather than actual skill. Amory, wow, with how you describe it, it's no wonder why you were conditioned to believe you could never be anything other than a walking doormat for others to trample all over. Izuku, gee, thanks. I'm so glad you have such a high opinion of me. Amory, anytime. Izuku, I meant what I said. You've grown in the little time you've lived here. I even say you make a better demon than a human. Izuku really? Begins sobbing. Why is it that the first acts of kindness I've felt in years come from demons? Amory brings him into a hug, letting him cry into her uniform asterisk. Amory, there, little Kohai. Let your beloved senpai take away all your worries, like the good wife I am. Izuku, wait, the good what now? Amory, the good strife. What better way to motivate someone than with strife? Now run, so I can make you join the student council. Izuku, I completely lost track of everything we were just talking about. Lied was excited for today. It didn't matter how much homework Koligo-sensei gave them, or how mildly annoyed he was that 3 members of the misfit class managed to make a bigger splash at the division party than he did. Why did any of that matter when they got to see one of the Netherworld's most popular Demdolls perform live? So it's just a concert then? Their resident danger junkie / rising star of the misfit class asked out of nowhere as the class looked at the poster for Akidoll's next performance. I mean, I can understand the excitement, but is it really that big a deal here? Of course, Demdoll concerts help alleviate a person's evil cycle. Plus, they look so cute. Lied justified his greatest passion behind gaming. Evil cycle? What's that? Izuku asked with a tilted head, making most look at him with shocked expressions. What? Is that a big deal around here too? Izuku, I get you're sheltered, but there are some things even you should be aware of. Asmodeus spoke with a worried look. Izuku-kins, did your mom not teach you anything? Like the raptors and the bugs? Veilak asked with a surprising amount of concern in her voice. How innocent do you have to be if Veilak knows more about basic biology than you? Okay, look, it may be a different term thing, like dodgeball is what we call execution cannonball, or we call battlers clubs instead. Can someone just explain it, please? The boy pleaded, looking more nervous than usual. I'm really getting tired of everyone getting the wrong idea about me. If that's the case, then there shouldn't be any harm, Jazz said with a shrug. Evil cycle are something every demon goes through. It's the stress that builds up in every demon, which, if left unchecked, often slips out through violent outbursts. Anytime you see a demon causing property damage, they're most likely just letting off a little steam. Wicked phases occur when a demon isn't able to relieve any of their stress, resulting in a personality change in said demon. These can last up to a few days, even a few weeks depending on the stress. Asmodeus finished for Jazz. Yeah, I see. I have never dealt with anything like that before. Everyone stared at him with even larger shocked expressions, a dead silence overtaking the room. What is it this time? Schneider spoke up now. The odds of that happening borders on 0. Either you've never been stressed once in your life or you're building up to a major outburst. Everyone looked at Schneider, then at Izuku, then took a massive 3 steps back from the ladder. Guys, I don't think you have anything to worry about. Seriously, when have you ever seen me stress out like that? I'm pretty sure I'm not known for getting angry. Okay, that was true, but that kind of freaked him out a little more. What about when you beat Asmodeus during Execution Cannonball? Kami pointed out. Or when you screamed a lot at the rookie hunt? Garp brought it up. Or when you guys were super stressed before you went to the game battler? Lied said. All right, that last one was all of us. And they didn't go into their wicked phase, right? Izuku asked, looking at his friends. Huh, guess you make a valid point there. Asmodeus thought it over. But what about, come on. Ever since they became friends, Asmodeus was a lot more hush-hush about a few things. It was always funny seeing him trying to scream common sense into Midoriya. What about Bakugou? Velak said, one of her usual nicknames, though he couldn't pin who she was talking about. Izuku was about to say something, but stopped and put his hand to his chin. Actually, could I get some references? What were you guys like during your wicked phases? Well, it's usually a hazy state with vague memories, but I personally just find it appealing to burn and destroy anything I find ugly in that state. Asmodeus explained. I just end up staying awake through most of the day and get a little cranky. Paisro lazily added to the conversation. It's miserable. I got addicted to coffee and actually started doing work. I once put a mask on and started playing a bunch of games with some demons I tied up in a basement. Everyone stared at Valak warily. What? You're saying you don't do that on a normal basis? Krosel asked the question that was worth all the gold in the netherworld. Yeah, but this time I don't explain the rules, and just say survive or die. Ignoring the frightening revelations that were discovered, Elizabetta went next. It's a bit tricky for me. Sometimes I start slapping and hurting any guys around. Other times I'm seducing them into becoming my SLV. It's back and forth between that. He wouldn't mind a bit of a stuckton on himself in all honesty. She was the prettiest in the class. Alright, so it honestly just seems like the ID overtakes the superego, and sometimes the ego. Izuku muttered to himself. It almost doesn't sound much different than dealing with everyone else on a normal basis. I've gotten used to the insanity at this school so far, so this probably won't be any different. Okay, rude. You're only saying that because it hasn't happened to you yet, Asmodeus stated. No demon is immune to it. We'll all be paying the price when yours comes along. Ooh, I smell another wager coming along. Hey Izuku, you actually get to join it. Jazz offered for the first time. Yes, bets around the honor student were the best. You never know how the game will turn out. I'm almost afraid to ask, but I've also never been offered to join a betting pool, so what is it this time? That almost made Lyde cry a little in happiness. How chaotic will Midoriya's wicked phase be? Place your bets, folks. I'm giving a solid 100 it'll make us richer. Everyone immediately took out bills of hundreds. I bet he'll take over the school and overthrow his own grandfather as chair demon. Sabnok announced proudly, placing 200. He's bold enough already to do it, so this is just inevitable. I'm betting he'll end up turning the school into complete rubble. Krosel put 500, muttering a bit bitterly. I bet we somehow get dragged into a crazy school-wide scheme or something like that. Asmodeus put down 300. My humble self bets he shall bet 100, he shall become a strong warrior. Garp put down his money, a grin under the fuzz. It shall be a showdown for the ages. I bet he'll finally be bold enough to handle a proper relationship. Elizabetta placed 400 with that cute giggle of hers. I bet he'll officially start his HRM and start sharing. Kami placed 100, before getting kicked by Krosel. I bet 100 Izuku-kins will play a super fun game, Velak shouted happily. Izuku blushed at all of these before placing down 200. I bet I won't enter my evil phase for the entire year. Wow, nice odds, he'll take them. Now then, to do what he and Jazz did best. Rig the game. Alright, now you've all placed your bets, now let's up the stakes. Lyde took the lead. Nobody can do anything to help Izuku relieve any stress until the end of the year, or until he falls into his wicked phase. However, we can't force him into one either, just so it's a fair playing field. Jazz added, guessing those brotherly instincts were kicking in. Of course, that also meant they couldn't prevent anything else from causing a stressful event, or even give him ideas about what to do once in said wicked phase. Ooh, the wonders of loopholes. The interspeaker came on at that exact moment. Will the members of the magical apparatus battler please report to the broadcasting battler room, thank you. Guess we should get going. Come on guys, let's see what they want. Izuku waved to his posse, and they left without another word. Another bet on what they come back with. You read my mind, my brother from another mother. Bathan Baraki watched as the students entered the room, which was a lot of equipment cluttered together with seats and a snack table. Honestly, it was a lot more than they ever had in all their time at Babley's, so he wouldn't complain, especially with his higher rank. And it was all thanks to the 5 demons of the magical apparatus battler. Glad you all could make it, he shouted with joy. While we wait for the other 2, you can help yourselves to the food. Bathan kindly offered, and the 2 boys of the trio slowly walked over with a bit of suspicion while Velak jumped on the table and grabbed as many sweets as she could. Not that I'm not grateful for the kindness, but what brought this on? Bathan couldn't get mad at the honor student's doubt. As the grandson of Sullivan, he probably dealt with insincerity a lot from those trying to ride his coattails. I wanted to thank you guys. If it wasn't for the whole debacle that went on and your guys' amazing fire show, we wouldn't have won the grand prize. Look at how happy the others are. He gestured to the newfound chaos and ego of his kohai, who boasted about power or something. Well, there was a reason they were on vocals. Nice to know our strong work hasn't gone unappreciated. Asmodeus spoke with a mild smile. The representative seemed a lot more approachable than he appeared at the beginning of the year. Normally, he probably would have demanded some kind of compensation for stealing his spotlight. Velak, as much as it would pain me to not stop you, please slow down. You'll choke at this rate. I won't choke. I have milk, she shouted, somehow chugging a gallon of that stuff without a single breath. The inner workings of demon stomachs, he heard Midoriya mutter as he wrote in a notebook. Do bloodline abilities affect a demon's simple biology? Are you more tolerant of spicy food? Kachon enjoyed spicy curry, and he was able to create explosions from his sweat. Actually, would that mean all fire bloodlines would be like that? Does that mean those with ice or water bloodlines don't get brain freezes? Geez, you'd need to be insane and talented to comprehend any of that. Actually, I'm pretty much fine with everything besides fish. The smell is horrifying. Asmodeus admitted with a shiver. It's a long story. Just don't ever expect me to bring you sushi or anything like that for lunch. We're here, shouted the 2 other girls, making their way in. Izuku, how's it going? You look nice, haven't seen you since the division party. The blonde girl, Inko he believed it was, fawned over the boy. That was last night. The dragon, Gakko, rolled her eyes. That's 12 hours too long. It's fine, you guys. Inko, your picture for the school newspaper came out great. Izuku took out a small piece of newspaper, revealing it to be the headline article showing off the honor student's recent bump in rank, as well as Velak and Asmodeus beside him. It's a shame you and Gakko didn't make it in with us. It's fine, the less people come up to me in class demanding autographs the better. Gakko shrugged with a grin. Although I guess I was right about you always finding a way to take the spotlight, right Inko? The dragon nudged the girl. Yeah, you're psychic and looking out for me. Inko waved her off. Don't worry about it, Izu. Someday, I'll make my own headline and stand out just as much as you. Izu? Valak screamed. Why did you call Izuku-kins that? Izuku-kins is Izuku-kins. Well, good friends have cute names for each other. Since you're his best friend, I figured I should take something from your book to show how much I care about him. Inko responded, though it sounded a little competitive if you asked him. He figured now would be a good time to butt in. Anyway, the big thing is our battler is busy this week, but we got 5 tickets to the Kiramu show tomorrow, so I was gonna offer them to you guys. What? That was the expected response shared by the entirety of the magical apparatus battler. Wait, is anyone here actually interested in this kind of stuff? Midoriya felt the need to ask. What the hell? This was Kiramu they were talking about. What was up with him? Izuku, I know that Asmodeus said something about you being a bit sheltered, but how are you not aware of the impact of one of the most popular and essential dem dolls in the netherworld? Gakko shook the boy. Izuku, I know I put down the general practices of demon recreation like video games and such, but one can't take the likes of Kiramu's dem doll concerts this lightly. Asmodeus joined in. You say you want to save people with a smile? Well, dem dolls' jobs are essentially doing just that. By performing, they relieve the stress of hundreds, if not thousands of demons at a time. Midoriya seemed to brighten up on that last bit. Really? Oh right, cause of the evil cycle. Alright, let's go. This kid was a mixed bag of, well, he wasn't sure of what exactly, but whatever it was, it didn't make a clear picture. If it's as vital as you say it is, then I would probably learn a lot by watching one live. Oh Izu, you can even make going to a concert for fun turn into a way to grow yourself. So admirable. Tilda hearts leaked from the blonde's face. I've seen the singing hundreds of times, I can show it all to you. Valak grabbed Midoriya's arm possibly, leading him out of the room. We can explore the entire dome stage together and play hide and seek. Everyone else is it, so we better start hiding, together, alone. Wow, Bathan hasn't heard a terrifying voice in a while, and from Valak too. DMNet, MDM Midoriya already exposed her enough for memorization. Asmodeus grumbled. Wait a second, MDM Midoriya? Wait, does that mean that scary voice wasn't from a wicked phase? What are you talking about? Of course that had to be a wicked phase. That kind of motherly love and protective nature can't be natural in of itself, Gakko exclaimed, equally as freaked out. No, Izuku-kins never had a wicked phase. Never even heard of the evil cycle until today. Valak clarified. That raises so many questions that he was uncertain about getting the answers to. Wait, you never had your wicked phase? Inko asked in shock, taking an involuntary step back. That's just going to be a thing now, isn't it? Midoriya muttered. Never had a wicked phase, huh? Gakko looked at the boy curiously, before walking up and placing a hand on his green head. She patted for a while, making him blush, and the girls baffled beyond all belief. I thought so. You don't have horns either. Everyone stared at Izuku very curiously, making him sweat. It was a defect when I was born, like the ring problem with the ring I told you guys the night we slept over. He explained as Asmodeus, Valak, and Inko all nodded. I'm missing a lot of context here, aren't I? Gakko asked out loud, and suddenly Bathan felt like he was intruding on something important. We can explain on the walk over to the concert. Midoriya sighed. Thanks again, Bathan-san. And sorry for dumping all this personal information on you. No problem. I'll keep it on the down low for you guys. Least I can do after everything. Bathan nodded before heading out of the room. Feel free to stick around as long as you want. The broadcast battler gets to work on the concert as well today, so we'll meet you there. Donuts for days, Valak shouted, holding a large pile of donuts over her head. Hey, I brought those for everyone. You'll never catch me, she shouted as a chase began. You know, if you think about the cost-benefit ratio. We're not getting a tranq gun as. Midoriya deadpanned. I don't know. Gakko put in, looking at Inko messing with some recording equipment. It could be a very good investment. What? I'm just taking a peek. Recording and filming Izu is much better than just plain pictures of him. Plus, I can get some shots of Amory-san as well, and with a little editing. Oh right, Amory saved you too, right? Midoriya picked up on what she was saying. I could probably properly introduce you two later if you want. Yes, no more lady red hair. Why haven't I picked up drinking yet? Wow, these guys seemed fun, although he'd probably die if he was around them. Best to keep distance. Mar Mabros runs a tight ship. She made sure everything went on time, everything was in place, but most importantly, she kept constant health checks on Kirimu. One such moment was the girl walking in place as ice cracked every fragile object in the room. DMN him, DMN him, DMN him, DMN the BSTRD, stab him with a fork in the intestines and treat them like noodles. Sounded like guy troubles. Understandable, but there was a time and place to deal with that. Although, seeing her failed voodoo doll attempts were amusing every so often. Not to interrupt your plotting, but your show is on soon. The girl paused, noticing that she was there. How long have you been watching? She asked with a small sweat drop. Ever since his testicles in table tennis. The cute girl was surprisingly vulgar in her language. Fortunately, most of the time, she was able to keep this side of her away from her more innocent demdoll identity. I get it, you're a teenager and it'd be impossible to ask you to set everything aside, but you still have a job to do. Kirimu nodded, getting on track with some vocal warm-ups. And make sure to use the packs for your head, we don't want you passing out on stage. The girl always ended up overdoing it with her magic. And either ask the boy out or push him off a cliff. The last thing we need is for you to enter your wicked phase in front of a live audience. It's not like that. Seriously, that guy can go screw himself with a rusty knife. True, but teasing her always got her mind out of the dark gutter, causing her to focus on the real stuff. So what if he has an infamous reputation at school? So what if his headlines always manage to get the front page over my concert reviews? I'm still more popular than he'll ever be. Of course you are, can't you hear them? She gestures to the loud cheering noises that could be heard from the crowd. You're not only more popular, but you're better at your job, and you're cuter. Yes, I'm cute. I'm the cutest. I can do this. She practiced her newest heart hand pose. It's going to be divi perfect. Nothing can get in the way of today. Good, because after the concert, you have a personal meet and greet with one izukumidoriya. Apparently someone on the broadcast team owed him a favor or something. She should have really stuck around later. The violent twitching should have given the situation of what would happen away. Is that so? Yeah, so be sure to be extra cute for him today. Maybe he'll get your mind off whoever's making you so testy. I heard he's pretty cute himself. If she was paying any more attention, she would have noticed the visible tick mark that was bulging out of her head. If you could call demon-sized garbage cute. She barely heard Kirimu mutter as she made her leave. Well then, time to run the show. You there, get that light moved 3 minutes ago, or I'll put your head on a pike. Such a relaxing environment. Asmodeus was more into classical music himself, and found the flashing lights and fast beats irritating. Despite that, Kirimu proved to be outstanding with her vocals and dancing, pure elegance in his eyes. Go 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 singing lady, Claw. He had given up covering the mistake that reached his very mind, shouted loudly. Yay, sing sing sing, dance dance, singy singy dance. Ugh, she was lucky Kirimu's voice was able to drown out lesser forms of the art. It's almost as good as the musicals mommy puts on with all of us. Okay, I needed clarification on whether or not that actually happened. Good to know. Izuku mentioned, bringing up what happened at the division party. So, do you provide the music and stage with your magic, or do you set it up ahead of time? Yes. Don't question the madness, Izuku. I thought you of all people figured that out by now. Gakko reminded all of them of that great life lesson as she kept patting his head. Weird, she's been doing it all day. Gakko, I thought you said you didn't like Izu like that, Izuku's personal fangirl squealed in jealousy. I still stand by it. I just have a strong time believing what you told me. The dragon answered with a level of disbelief Asmodeus could understand on some level. She had accepted the truth of Izuku's story well enough, but something about it seemed to rub her the wrong way. No horns, no magic, it's almost like you're not even a demon. Yeah, I get that a lot. Izuku accepted the skepticism with a light chuckle. Beyblades is the first time I've ever fit in anywhere with anyone. You definitely wouldn't have found me hanging around a group, let alone being offered concert tickets. Well, to be fair, no one actually knows. Imagine going to a school and faking your abilities with something like super intelligence or the ability to see things, Inko said, causing Izuku to get a curious look. Would faking it actually? Well, it worked here at the very least. And not only that, you summoned a demon, thought that was supposed to be impossible. Gakko brought up one of his most infamous feats. Next thing you'll tell me you don't have a tail or wings. Izuku stayed silent, not correcting her. Oh, you have got to be kidding me. That too. Izuku, is that why Sullivan sheltered you all these years? Asmodeus had to ask him personally. It seemed the full picture of izukumidoriya was far from pleasant. No magic, no means to protect yourself, no means to get away. I can't imagine what that must have been like. I mean, why do you think I've been walking instead of flying from school? He asked. I said it was training. You said sure, let's go with that. Az replied with a skeptical look. I digress. You've managed to make the most of the hand life has dealt you. Come on guys, Izuku-kins is still Izuku-kins no matter what he has. Clara corrected them all. I don't care if he's a chair demon or a slug. I'll be his friend no matter what. And so what if he doesn't have wings? I'll carry him myself, she shouted as the group desperately quieted her down, before realizing that nobody could hear them regardless. Still, she has a point. Izuku, if you need to fly somewhere, just look for me, Inko chimed in, squeezing herself between Izuku and Clara, the latter giving a minor hiss at her rival in affection. Az is obviously the strongest guy here, wouldn't he be the best to support both of their body weight? Gakko stated the obvious, like the wine he desperately wished to drown himself in. No, there's enough rumors going around. They don't need to see me giving Izuku a ride to add fuel to that metaphorical fire. He was going to kill the demon that put that thought in everyone's head. If he recalled correctly, it was that gray eye-stalk girl he passes by from time to time. Now, how to do it without Izuku ever finding out? Guys, thanks. Just thanks in general. Izuku voiced his thoughts out loud. I'm too grateful for everything that you've done for me. Don't worry, we're far too deep into the rabbit hole to ditch you now of all times. He spoke up with his teasing smirk. We might as head in, all for one and one for all. How is that a saying? Never mind. Izuku turned his attention back to the concert. I never would have thought a music concert would be so essential for maintaining peace around here. Back home, the thought almost sounds silly. Well, how do people relieve stress back there? Inko piqued in interest. She could be just as curious as Izuku at times. I mean, I guess the idea was the same. We had concerts and movies too. There was just never any focus on it unless it was about heroes. They were a pretty big deal where I was from. In fact, they were probably the biggest thing around, stopping villains, saving people, supporting the community, brand deals, PR campaigns, guest starring. They seem more overblown big dogs than actual heroes. Gakko voiced his thoughts. No, they were necessary. Why, the last hero I saw did. Wow, never mind. Izuku recalled, likely something less than pleasant again. Thinking about it, it seems a bit unnecessary in hindsight. Practically everyone strives to be a hero where I'm from. If you don't, then you're out of luck for people actually wanting to help you. Well, you can be a hero, and if not, we'd still be with you either way, Inko said with a smile. Yeah, even if I don't want to be a hero, I'd be willing to put up with your insanity magnet. You seem nice enough. Gakko spoke out with a shrug. I don't have an insanity magnet. Izuku spoke indignantly. Congratulations, someone jumped out from behind the group, causing Az to involuntarily prepare a counter in case he was a threat. You're in the special seat for a meet and greet with Kirimu herself. There was a beat of silence among the group as they turned to Midoriya. So, you don't have one? Az spoke, somehow displaying disappointment and amusement at the same time. It's all in the micro details. Kirimu had a deep and dark secret, one she would take to the grave. One that no one could ever figure out. She was, in fact, the student known as Karori Krosel. Shocking, right? Unless you read the source material, of course. Anyway, she had one major problem in her life. Okay? She actually had many problems in her life, mostly stemming from a family with high expectations, but that wasn't the pressing issue she is facing right now. Right now, her biggest problem is with the grandson of the chair demon, the honor student danger junkie himself, Izukumidoriya, her arch enemy. Sure, they've barely spoken to each other, but that didn't mean he wasn't ruining her life in every way possible. She put her absolute DMN hardest into every concert and every performance, and despite all that, he always has gotten headlines in the school paper. He didn't need to start a fight with Asmodeus. He didn't need to have his own personal demon familiar at his beck and call, and he certainly didn't need to keep causing chaos wherever he went. The exams, the division party, every single time there was a chance to take the spotlight, he took it. And now, above all else, her identity was at risk due to the fact that he, of all people, was now sitting across from her. What were the odds? What were the astronomical odds? He could probably figure it out. He was the smart one after all. Well, screw him and his brain. Wow, it's pretty cold here. SHT. She got overwhelmed and turned on her powers. Calm down, Kirimu. Actors get heated on stage. We need something to help balance it out. She waved off. So, it must be pretty amazing seeing me in person. I take it from your expression that this is your first time at one of my concerts. Okay, that sounded a bit show-offy, but could anyone blame her? This was the king of show-off right here. Yeah, actually, in fact it was my first time at any concert. You're really good at singing, you know? Awa, the flattery, how sweet. Finally giving true credit where it's due. Well, of course, you don't get to be at my level without putting in strong work. Not all of us can coast off on powerful magic, you know? He looked confused. The gall to look like he didn't know what she's talking about. My entire schedule for the month is planned out right here. Dance lessons, vocal practice, balance training, everything has to be right in every perfect way. Wow, this is meticulous. A lot of work goes into this stuff. You really deserve to get your dream if you keep this up. She had no clue what this dream was, but the praise itself was nice. Wait, her class schedule. She quickly took the book back and went on. Ah, yeah, just making sure I keep things in balance. I can't overdo things all at once. I save that for my shows. Just keep it at mild bragging. If she gave too much, he'll definitely know something was up. Yeah, I can't imagine how you must feel. I can't help but feel a bit envious. The humble act kind of ruined it for her, but success, he practically admitted she was better than him. Being able to make everyone around you happy, bringing smiles to their faces, it's everything I've ever wanted to do. Wait, huh? Really? Why is that? If you don't mind me asking, why was she asking? It wasn't like she wanted to get to know him better. He was competition. Well, my dream is to be a hero, and the best way to do that, in my eyes at least, is to save their hearts. What you do for everyone here is what I want to do daily for everybody. Oh, like that was likely. Clearly, you just want more attention to yourself. Being a hero is just saving people. They have to keep people away from the danger and themselves in it. You can't fix their hearts just by bringing them to safety or stopping the monster. I know it isn't that simple. There's work to be done. Some of it probably would take years, but I don't just have to wait for some villain to try and hurt people. I can just start by reaching out my hand to help someone. Definitely an interesting response. A bit unrealistic if she was being honest. Hey, do you wear contacts? Contacts? Why would she need them? She only wore glasses to hide away the glasses. She rushed and grabbed them, making sure they were hidden away. Yeah, make sure not to tell people. Perfect image and all that. Well, no one's perfect. Oh, weren't they? You condescending BSTRD. I just find it admirable how you go above and beyond for what you do. It probably doesn't mean much, but thank you for the smiles. That felt weird. She usually got praised by her fans, but it never felt as personal as this. Thanks. I should probably make you some tea now. She had to get her mind on something that wasn't currently her rising conflicting emotions. Oh, thank you. No problem, Izuku. Instead of thanking her for the offer of tea, he just stared at her in an almost bewildered manner. How did you know my name? Kornamasiasian Bubba. She could feel her brain crash out of sheer panic. Are you chanting some sort of spell? Izuku asked with his tremble. DMN, that horrible excitement. Wait, no. Focus. Fix the problem. No, that was just the name of the tea in a foreign language. In some translations, it can be called Izuku tea. Ugh. The thought of spitting that lie out made her GG. He better not be one of those people who'd brag about every single detail about himself. I better prepare it nice and hot. It can be a bit drafty in here at times. The ice started to grow on the walls. Is the AC broken? He asked, concerned about the walls. Oh, probably. We should cut this short. I'm sorry. Get out of her hair. Get out of her hair. Yeah, sorry about any inconvenience. That's right. Be sorry. Be sorry for existing. I'll see you at school tomorrow. He slipped out as he opened the door. What was that, bub? She grabbed him by the shoulder, threw him towards her dresser, and froze him in place. Diamenet, how did he figure it out? Was the schedule? The glasses? Diamenet, why did those voodoo spells keep failing? She sighed, sitting down after bolting the door shut and unfreezing him. Divi, I could see everything but couldn't breathe. That was torture, he complained. Oh, grow up, you big baby. It wasn't like she used the black ice curse on him. Yet. Here's a blanket. Now talk. She threw a thin yellow sheet at him, which he quickly used to cover himself. How'd you figure it out? Well, I didn't really notice anything at first. You've always seemed like the most invisible in class. Yeah, that's what she was going for, but why'd that make her stand out? Then I took a look at your glasses one day, and figured you were trying to hide yourself from something. What? Those are special non-detection glasses. Wearing them should make you less suspicious of me. She's certain she's never taken them off in front of him, or anyone in the misfit class. I just, have experience. I saw Clara and Az use them a few times when they followed me to the student council meeting room. Plus, I'm in the magical apparatus battler. I work with magic support items all the time. Okay, that made sense. She had to give him credit on that front. I didn't think much of it until right now. Your bloodline ability is pretty distinct. Right, yeah, of course. Diamenet, she couldn't just let him go. How can I be sure you're not going to tell anyone? He looked at her once, before giving a slight smile. I admire you. You work so strong to stay invisible. What? You have this big career, a great ambition, that you have to carry out almost daily, and yet you're still able to maintain a, relatively, normal school experience. Believe me, if I could have taken back that first day with a chant, I would have. Everyone now expects me to be something I don't want to be, and every action I've taken so far only brings more unnecessary attention to me. I won't burden you with the same fate. I'll keep quiet, I promise. He didn't try. He didn't try, as she could feel it, something snapping inside of her. It started as a chuckle, growing and growing into demented laughter that would haunt the souls of small children and few adults. Are you okay? She shut him up as black ice was formed. You're not even trying. This puppy dog-faced spotlight-stealing danger junkie wasn't even trying to gather everyone's attention. Do you know how much work it takes to gather so many demons in one spot for a single show? How many hours it took to perfect my cuteness? And you just have to exist to get the whole school's attention. All of a sudden, the world started spinning a little, but she didn't mind. It felt funny. Ha, she should laugh more often. Kurori, your face is getting red. Midoriya tried to point out. I think I'll just freeze you. Do you admire silence? I'll trap you in ice and watch you suffer being in isolation for all of eternity. That sounds like what you want, right? He'd probably thank her for it, if she wasn't about to keep him quiet forever. Maybe that freckled face would make a nice wall ornament. Kurori, you're barely able to stand right now, he went up to her as she fell. Huh, what? Gee, get away, you weirdly admirable weirdo. She was about to kill him now. Kurori, can you hear me? Shut up, is Izuku-kun. I'm. She tried to get her words out, but the most that came out were hollowed laughs. It was only minutes before the show. Perfect time for a nap. Mar heard a large thud coming from the room of Kiramu, rushing in with managerial, and somewhat motherly, instinct screaming that the girl is in danger. Kiramu, she yelled, bursting the door open, finding said Demdoll on the floor passed out on the ground, and the lucky demon of the meat and grate freaking out right beside her. What the hell did you do? She screamed. Nothing. I swear. We were just talking, and, well, I figured out she goes to school with me, and she started getting worried I'd tell everyone, so I told her I wouldn't. But then she started getting mad, talking about me taking the spotlight and all that. OSHT. This was the guy that had her all wound up lately, wasn't he? No time to figure it out. Just help me get her on the couch. He nods as they begin to move her. He's got a surprising amount of strength for a scrawny body. She's glowing red. Was she making ice earlier? Yeah, it was forming all over the room before she started using the black ice curse to try and encase me in it for eternity. He said that way too calmly. She really underestimated both the craziness of this kid and the levels of hatred Kirimu had for him. This HT, I told her not to make any after the division party. It takes too much out of her just to make normal ice, let alone that unholy mess. Don't get her wrong, the black magic battler was great for Kirimu's personality, just not her magic and making it less taxing on her weak body. Her condition makes her body frail. Too much heat all at once. She needs either a highly skilled doctor or one of her family to help her, but neither can get here in time for the show. Wait, her family isn't here to watch? Ouch, the kid doesn't know the full story. Maybe she can abridge it for some identity-revealing details to be left out. Her family is well known for their ability to manipulate ice and water temperatures. In normal circumstances, she'd be fine, but her body is much more fragile than theirs, thus she can only make so much ice at a single time. Oh, I see. The kid looked more understanding than she expected. I've read about similar situations before. I've heard about people experiencing power overload due to stressing a volatile substance their body can't handle the extremity of. In most cases, it was a fire user having a body not suited for producing high flames. We just need to regulate her temperature, right? He glared at his ring for some reason. Maybe I can. No, don't, Kirimu shot back up, waking up with a daze. Seeing her so weak and helpless made her want to lay her back down, but the Demdoll was too stubborn for her own good. If you take my ability, I'll just feel worse than I already do. And even if that could help, my ice won't be cold enough. She tried to stand up. I have to just tough it out and... Don't you dare, little missy. You won't move even if I have to strap you to that couch. Mar prevented her from moving a single inch. We're canceling the show. We'll just tell the audience it's been cut early. We can't do that, not when I'm so close. The singer failed to stand up once again, coughing a fit. I have to get back at my family for everything. Getting back at them isn't worth destroying your health. You need rest, she spoke, putting a hand on the idol's shoulder and gently pushing her down. It's not worth it, especially if you keel over dead. But at least I'll be happy when I do, Kirimu turned to the boy she hated. You told me you want to save people with smiles, right? Well, when I was a kid, I didn't even know what that was. Ice facade. My bloodline ability doesn't just mean cold temperatures to my family, it means cold expressions, cold shoulders, cold black hearts, just everything cold in general. It wasn't until my grandma showed me my first Demdoll that I smiled for the first time. Kirimu laid back on the couch, finally succumbing to her exhaustion. All those smiles, it'll be worth it. I'm super divvy cute, and being a top Demdoll is my destin. She cut herself short as her eyes closed once more. "Dear minute." She noticed someone come in. You, make sure she stays warm at all times. I'll go tell the news to everyone. And you? She noticed the boy was gone. Where did he go? He ran off when she passed out. He had this determined look on his face too. Her assistant explained. Great. She hoped whatever the kid had planned, it was eye-catching enough to distract everyone else. Kirimu said he was a glory hound. Better the ire of the crowd be on him than on her. Inko tapped her foot impatiently as she waited for Izu to show up. Don't tell her she was trying to stuck him, and she had the gall to think the idol looked cute. Where's Izuku-kins? We still need to hide together. Her frustrations were shared with Clara, though that honestly made things worse. It is getting pretty late, and the show's about to start up again. Asmodeus checked his hellphone. He's not answering any of my messages, nor responding to my texts. Ugh, I hate to think he's stirring up trouble again. Hey Az, you've known him the longest. How much trouble is he probably in right now? Goko asked him. Come on, it couldn't be that bad, could it? Knowing him, my educated guess would be he found out Kirimu is struggling in some form or fashion and is now rushing towards us right now to formulate a plan to help her. Guys, I need your help. Izu ran up to them in panic and sweat. Kirimu is down, we need to help her. I should start taking up more of those Izuku gambles, that was easy. Az idly muttered. She should talk more with him, get Izu's schedule down pat and see if he's had any holes in it. So, then, how are we going to help the downed woman? Puppet strings. Okay, no. That's just silly, and really cliché the more I think about it. Izu stated firmly. Was this a recurring thing that happened where he was from? Besides, the heat from the spotlights would just make her condition worse. Izuku, stop it. Now's not the time to ramble. Gakko shook him out of his cute mutter. You were saying? Right. I was thinking, everyone here came to see a show, and with Kirimu passed out, they're not going to get what they were expecting. A high school pop sensation that's overly cute with a naive charm. That's what the problem is, not the solution to the problem. As clarified. Sorry, I need to work on shortening my sentences. Anyways, the best way to help is to give them exactly that. He was really cute, he really was, but he could be better at explanations. What I mean is, we get someone else to take her place. That sounds fine and good, but where are we going to get someone who fulfills all those check marks? Inko asked the obvious question in everyone's mind. Well, we already know someone that fulfills all those check marks. Wait, was he about to recommend her? Yes, Izu noticed her again. She has no idea where he got the idea that she was good at singing, but if he believed in her, then it shouldn't be a problem. Clara. She could feel her insides shatter and blow away in the wind. Clara, she muttered. I mean, she does have the naive part down. As put in, no, don't support the rival. And she's got the cute part down if Rame's rambling meant anything. Gakko, you're supposed to be on her side. Come on, you guys can't be serious. Clara, what do you say? Inko asked the girl, hoping for a different result. This is gonna be a fun game, Diamenet. Az was right about naivety. I'll get the costumes ready. Seriously, Izu really thought she was cute? Was her crusade pointless? You're going to look great, Izuku-kins. The entire group paused, turning to the girl as she produced multiple dresses, reflecting on the words game and costumes. Did she mean, Clara, I don't think that, Izu began to start. Az's skirt needs to be short, like his mommy. She had never seen someone's face go from curious to horror in such record time. Izuku-kins, yours needs to be longer and extra frilly. Oh, we need to add extensions to your hair. Dragon Lady, that reminds me, should I get you a wig or are we going with your natural stuff? Is this the cost of saving lives? Izu muttered to himself, looking down at his hands. I'm not sure if I'm ready to pay the price. Inko, remembering his earlier comment and imagining a cute Izu in a cute dress, placed a hand on his shoulder. Let's all pay this price. She spoke sweetly. She would forgive him tomorrow, but today, she needed to vent a little steam. If I'm involved, you're not getting to run away. Gakko said as she held onto the pink-haired boy's shirt. Izuku, I'm beginning to remember why I initially hated you. Yeah, I hate me too. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 6. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and authors 616 MCU and Hazzard Overflow on FANFICTIONnet and AO3. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.